Opened in 1975 and officially named Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Sports Centre by the Queen in 1977 to mark her Silver Jubilee, the now Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre, or QSAC, plays host to the next stop of the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour and the Summer of Aths calendar, the Queensland Track Classic. Hello and welcome, I'm Tamsin Lewis-Manu, and after some amazing results out of Melbourne, Perth and then again tonight in Sydney, we are here in Brisbane for the second half of the double header. So far on the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour, we have seen meet records fall, Olympic qualifiers achieved and even a huge Aussie record leap. Tonight at the Queensland Track Classic, we wait in great anticipation for what the athletes can produce. In commentary, I will be joined again by Australian decathlete Steve Kane. And trackside, we are going to have Matt Lynch, or Lynchy as is affectionately known, right there with the action trackside. Steve, take us through what we can expect on tonight's program.
Yeah, a few highlights, Tamsin. Keep an eye out for the 400. The girls are in good form, so keen to see what they can produce tonight. It'll be a battle between Morgan Mitchell and Elise Ruby and the other girls for sure. The women's high jump, our Commonwealth Games champion Eleanor Patterson, again in great form, so keen to see what she can do tonight. And the boys discus, the big boys Julian Ruck and Matt Denny, our local heroes. And they'll be battling it off not only for the win, but hometown bragging rights for sure.
Okay, Lynchy, I'm really looking forward to this men's 100. It's been built up. Tell us, who are the ones to watch?
Well, as you probably might have seen, there's been plenty of banter on the socials, mainly between Tom Gamble and Alex Hartman. But there's a third Queenslander in the running there, Aaron Stubbs, with a 10.23. He won the Canberra Track Classic. We've got a Fijian runner, Benuve Tumbakathoro. He's actually come second at our last two national championships. So as long as they run fast, I think everybody wins.
Thanks, guys. Stay tuned. There's a huge evening of athletics ahead. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour. This is the Queensland Track Classic.
To be famous for my face. I want to be famous for my heart.
The IAAF Nestle Healthy Active Kids Athletics program is fun, fast and awesome. It's an action-packed program filled with activities for all abilities from 5 to 12 years old. It's fun, fast and awesome. You can enjoy this program too now through the Sporting Schools program in primary schools across Australia. Come on, join us and sign up for athletics. For more information, check out athletics.com.au.
Well, welcome. We're here at the Queensland Track Classic. How good was the Sydney Track Classic? Double header. It's a good initiative.
It's been a big day. Good start, and we're looking for a good finish to the day here in Brisbane, Queensland.
Obviously, you can see from the vision that it's been a little bit wet. When we first got to the track, it was blowing an absolute gale, and the biggest storm ever came through and hit the poor little athletics kids. We saw one trooper out there and still keep on jumping, which was pretty fantastic to see. The crowd got behind him and cheered him over as he was getting drenched, but looks pretty clear now. It's the wind's dropped off, which is great for the women's 800 later on this evening, and there's still enough of a breeze. They're going to for the men's 100, which we're really hoping we can get another qualifier out to join Josh Clark on that plane to Rio.
Very true, and who knows who that qualifier will come from. But as we cross over at the moment, we're looking at Eleanor Patterson. She's been the in-form high jumper for the last few years. She won the Commonwealth Games, as we know, 193 in Melbourne not long ago. So I'm sure she'd be looking forward to jumping just as high tonight. The conditions probably not the best for high jump. As we mentioned, it is a little damp out there, but a lot better now than it was a few hours ago when the Little Athletic Championships of Queensland were on. The poor kids, as you said, getting drenched. But the conditions not too bad now. And having a chat to some of the locals, they say that the wind can go left, right, centre. It can swirl. Probably not the best for the 400s or 8s later, but as I always like to hope, maybe you get a tailwind the whole way around if the wind's swirling.
One can always wish. And the men's discus has started. I bumped into Matt Denny before competition, and he was in his casual clothes. Geez, he's a relaxed character, and he was discussing how he was hoping that the discus would be thrown from the other end of the stadium, something to do with winds, but obviously the other cage is an IAAF regulation cage, so they have to hold the competition this side, unlike the men's 100 later, which they are going to run it whichever way the wind's favourable for the boys. But Matt Denny, why would he want to throw into a headwind? I would have thought you'd want a tailwind for anything in track and field, but...
Well, with discus, it's probably the one event where you do want a headwind. The aerodynamics of the discus, if it can get under the disc, it'll keep the discus up in the air a little longer. As we can see in the background, that's the discus cage Matt was keen to throw out of. At the moment, it's just a puddle. But great for little athletics, perhaps not IAAF specs for the senior boys tonight. There it is. You'd throw in that, wouldn't you, Tamsin? That discus cage, that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
I have to be honest, anytime I've tried to throw the discus, it doesn't matter what the cage is, I've never been able to get it out of the cage. I think I'll stick to track running, thanks, Steve.
There's Julian Ruck, and that number there, 3. He's had a couple of attempts. We'll try and catch up on what his results have been. As we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, handsome man. He's got the long hair, he's got the beard. He's lost a little bit of weight recently. He's just been, well, I'm just going to say diagnosed with celiac, but I'm not sure
can't eat gluten.
The right terminology.
Just a dietary inadequacy. If he eats gluten, he gets very sick, and so he's had to... It's pretty hard when you're a thrower and you're really trying to bulk up. He has to tweak his diet to work out what he can eat to keep that weight on.
And that throw by Marty Clark there, one of the local Queenslanders. He is a decathlete, looking to throw 40 metres tonight. Had a chat to him earlier. His form's been good, very strong over the winter. He was mentioning that his deadlift, 207 kilos over the winter.
Wow.
For that very slim man there in the white singlet. So he's looking to go to nationals in Sydney and score 7,000 points for the decathlon, and fingers crossed he can do that.
So Ruck's in the circle.
So Julian Ruck for his third throw, 56.63 is his best throw so far.
Queensland champion, 5th the 2014 World Juniors, Cassie Purden.
And probably a similar distance there. Those that have been following Julian Ruck, he's known worldwide for the different techniques he uses in the circle. Most athletes tend to use a full spin, but he often uses even more. But we'll talk more about his spin if we get a chance to see him later.
Women's high jumpers are on the screen.
So
girls look like they're having a great time being introduced to the crowd.
From our New Zealander to our local, Nicola McDermott. Shiriari from Japan. As we throw to the discus, 59.59. Currently Matt Denny's best throw. As always, he'll be looking to crack 65 metres to get his Rio qualifier. He's got this competition and then he'll be off to Nationals in Sydney in a few weeks.
As the split screen just showed the superstar of the women's high jump for Australia, Eleanor Patterson. She's a really laconic, relaxed character out there. I gotta say, I love watching her jump. I don't even wet, I think she's still capable of high heights out there.
So Eleanor walking the girls back there, followed by Hannah Joy in the pink and black tights. Joined Eleanor at the Commonwealth Games, jumped quite well there too. PB at 192, looking to find some form this season, just before Nationals.
The women's high jumpers, we have some super talent. It came out through their juniors a couple of years back. You know,
hello, Eleanor. Hello.
It's really nice seeing her relax, waving at the camera, because she's known as being a shy girl. She doesn't necessarily chase the limelight, but when you're a superstar like she is, the limelight finds her. But Eleanor's age group coming through have brought through a heap of talented young juniors. There's a lot of girls jumping out there tonight with really big PBs, and there's a couple of 19-year-olds and a 20-year-old that have real potential in this event going forwards for Australia.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think that Eleanor is still just 19. She's been on the big scene for a few years now.
Athletes finish their career and can't often say they've made a World Championship final and won a Commonwealth Games gold, and she's done it before the age of 20. It's so exciting to have an athlete out there that, you know, you're really going to watch heading into Rio that's got a really great potential to do well. And it's her first Olympics and she's still got a heap in front of her.
And she looks excited for the journey. And perhaps Eleanor a couple of years ago wouldn't have been as keen to give us a little wave and a smile on screen as she was then. So it's great to see her development across like the last couple of years, warming up to the media when, I mean, you know Tamsin better than anyone, the cameras will follow you whether you want them to or not. So embracing that as part of her journey is good to see.
I'm pretty sure I don't have paparazzi out my front door. I'm doing okay, Steve.
You must have moved recently.
Eleanor's a genuine star of this sport, but I think, you know, people forget how young she is, and if you are shy and all of a sudden you are doing super talented things out there on the track, the rest of it comes with it. She handles herself great. I really enjoy how she's handled herself to this point. And I think whatever she's doing right because she keeps performing, and that's what being an athlete's about.
Nice clearance there at 170 by Yuki Watanabe from Japan.
And we saw Eleanor at the start talking to the officials, looking over the official's shoulder, obviously checking out what heights everyone was coming in at and what height she had told them she was going to come in at, because all the athletes, before the competition starts, let the officials know what height they want to start at. And so a lot of the early heights, the girls who have better PBs don't come in till later.
And that'll give her a good idea of how long she'll need to sit down for before she has to warm up and get going again. But high jump, likewise pole vault, and we were having a chat about pole vault last week at the Perth Track Classic. You never actually know how long it will be. You might have 5 girls that jump the 3 heights on their 3rd attempt, and all of a sudden there's 15 jumps at one height, and that's 45 all up. It might be 45 minutes for a few heights. And Eleanor won't know that, but that's part of high jump. You need to know how quickly you can warm up, how quickly you can go from a nice relaxed mental state. And Tim Forsyth, our Australian men's high jump record holder, mentioned a few years ago when he was talking to a couple of the Boise coaches, you need to be able to switch off between jumps, and then you need to be able to switch back on in the click of a finger, because you never know how long it'll take.
She's having real problems with her run-up tonight. Obviously, when it is wet, makes it a little bit more daunting if your confidence is a bit flat at the height that you're attempting.
Her PB, is 181, so she'll be confident that she can make this. She's enjoying herself, that's for sure. On the outside, maybe not so much on the inside.
Well, the bar's at 170, but she's making it look like the conditions may be a little tricky out there tonight. But obviously, the more seasoned the athlete, the more competitions they've done at elite competition, they'll be used to having jumped in all varying elements, and it's probably good practice to do it in rain because you just never know when you're going to get these conditions at a major. That was a better attempt.
Just not to be tonight. As we notice, those nice bright spikes, the high jump spikes have heel spikes as well as toe spikes for extra grip. The discus shoes, though, have no spikes. You're not allowed to actually wear spikes in a discus circle. As Julian does a little dance for us, thank you very much there. Just making sure he's got a feel of the consistency of the circle. His last throw was 55.25 as he lines up for his 4th throw of the comp.
Tipping is pretty tough in discus. Once the discus gets wet, that's why he'd have the towel with him, just trying to keep it dry. It'd slip out of your hands.
Yeah, you're right there, Tamsin. Clearly you've done some disc before. Nice work. He'll not
Still didn't help.
not only be drying the discus, but the circle too.
Yep.
Sometimes if the circle's too hot and dry, it can get a little slippery depending on the texture of the concrete. Most discus throwers like a fast circle. Matt Denny being one of them. As he goes in with the Jürgen Schultz-Denfi discus, 2 kilos, 59.84 on his last throw. A nice flat one, but that looks like it's gone a little further there.
Looked like a good throw, especially in these conditions. Still just down on that elusive qualifier that he's after. Bar's gone up in the high jump to 175. We should hopefully see a few clearances like that. Don't forget to hashtag Summer of Apps. If you want to see, we can get your tweets up on the screen throughout the evening.
That last throw for Matt Denny there, 60.76. That's the furthest throw of the day so far. So he's currently got bragging rights over his local friend there, Julian Ruck.
Here's Liz. So I think we've got Purden already over. 175.
Liz Lamb, the New Zealand champion. Gives it a nudge, but nice and relaxed over that one. She went to the World University Games as well last year, making the top 8.
Another youngster at 24, probably feels like a senior out there with the other girls. But she's jumped 190 before, so another athlete with potential to get to the Olympic Games qualifier, which is 193.
Hannah Joy there on her attempt, her first one at 175.
Now, Hannah's another super talented junior. She's just struggling to find her feet thus far this season. But it's her home track. She's gearing up for the trials, so she'll be looking to post a positive jump. I'm heading into the nomination trials in a couple of weeks' time.
I'm sure anything that just gives her confidence, and only her and her coach will know what that is tonight. Whether it's a few nice quick run-ups or obviously a height on the board is what most of us would sort of go away with, knowing that, yep, we got what we came for. But for a lot of these athletes, Nationals is the big one. That's the Olympic trials. These are great meets leading up to that. A great meet in themselves, obviously. But leading into the big one where, fingers crossed, some of these athletes can get selected.
judges cheering on their
Yuki Watanabe.
colleagues here at the men's locker.
She was struggling a little at 175.
Solomon down.
That was her second attempt.
Round currently second position.
The wind's definitely died down. If we can just dry the track out a little bit for these girls. It's still humid. It's not cold. Well, it's not cold if you're from Melbourne.
No, it was quite cold in Melbourne this morning. Storms in Melbourne, storms in Brisbane. And that was a little closer by Hannah on her second attempt. So she'll go get ready for her third and final at this height.
It's a tough, obviously, watching Hannah. She's a 192 jumper, so we obviously know she's a superbly talented athlete. When you're down in confidence in events, Steve, obviously as a decathlete, you've done most of the events that are on the track and field program. Is it really tough? I mean, one of the most famous ones was when Steve Hooker talked about having the yips later in his career. Obviously in the pole vault, that's pretty problematic. But in high jump, can you suffer from similar things, and it's really hard to break that mental barrier to get back into form?
Sure. I'm sure it's the same with every event. I think we can all believe mentally what's going on, but we need our bodies to physically believe that we're capable as well. And sometimes you need a result to get that.
Yeah, it's true.
Julian Ruck for his fourth attempt. He'll be keen to get those bragging rights back. 60.76 from Matt Denny, currently leads the competition. Let's see what he can produce on his fourth throw.
Obviously, this discus competition is missing another local boy.
Local boy, yes.
Ben Harradine, who's coming back from injury. He's been helping out because Danny Samuels, who obviously star female discus thrower for Australia, she's moved up to the Gold Coast to be with her fiance, who's a doctor at the hospital there, and so she's been driving down.
G'day, Joe.
G'day, Joe. 2 days a week to do some training with Benny Harradine here in Brisbane. So looking forward to seeing Benny have his first throw back. He's already got the Olympic qualifier, so he's probably a bit more relaxed.
He'll be keen though to throw well at Nationals in Sydney in a couple of weeks' time. So also keen to see him throw. Chatting to a couple of the athletes earlier today about Ben and the injuries that he's had to go through over the last few years. It's tough when you get injuries. It takes you out of the training that you need to do, but also costs a lot of money too. And as athletes, the support that we all require to take it to that next level. Ben's got his Harradine Performance Company up and running, so a shout out to that one, Benny.
Oh, he's a good character, Ben.
Doing good work.
Very fun person to be around on the Australian team. Now, we're talking about Danny Samuel. She was injured in Melbourne. We missed her at the Melbourne Track Classic, but she threw tonight in Sydney. She won in 63 metres 25. She's a star. Straight back into it on the winner's podium.
Matt Denny's throw earlier was 60.23, so his best is still 60.76, leading the competition. As the bar in the high jump goes to 1.79. Not sure yet what Eleanor will start at. Might be the height after this one by the looks.
Would the weather, Steve, change your opening height?
Personally, it would depend on how I warm up.
Yeah.
And I think every athlete's different. The more confident you are, sometimes the more confident or the higher the starting height that you choose to jump at. The wet weather is definitely not an advantage for any of these high jumpers, that's for sure. Whether it's a disadvantage or not, it's another thing.
Oh. Cassie just struggling there with her arm, putting her hand in. Pretty sure that's not what you want to do when you're trying to clear a high jump bar.
No, over the bar is always best. Up and over.
That would be more a run-up issue?
Could have been. Yeah, hard to tell from here. But as I tell all the kids, especially when we're doing little coaching sessions, the secret of high jump, and this is just between you and me, Tamsin, is to jump high.
And to clear the bar?
Believe it or not, yes, clear the bar is helpful too. But these girls are a good example of when you get to the bar, you actually have to jump up, and up is towards the sky. Obviously on that jump, Cassie jumped in to the bar a little bit for different reasons. It might have been a run-up issue, but any kids watching at home, as you accelerate that J curve, you want to jump up. Once you get up there, doing the Frosby flop technique, which all of these girls are demonstrating well. Flick the legs and hopefully land on the mat. Yuki Watanabe on her first attempt at 179, just not quite on that one.
So they're at 179.
And I think we're into the final round here of the discus. My apologies, I think I called it as the fourth round earlier, but this is the last throw by the boys. Miller in the circle.
You can tell watching it when they're not going to be happy with the spin of the discus, can't you?
With the body language.
Spin. Just the spin. Like, you know when somebody's really nailed a good discus throw, it spins beautifully through the air. That one was just a little bit wobbly.
Faster the discus spins, the further it can go.
That's as technical as I get in the discus. If it's wobbly, it's not good.
We call them pancakes, Tamsin.
Pancakes.
Pancakes. Flying saucers are good.
Even
pancakes
I'm learning.
Are yummy, but not good for discus.
Speaking of Ben Harradine being a character, Julian Ruck's a character as well, so is Matt Denny. It's a fantastic event for the Australian boys. They're great fun to have on the Australian athletics team.
And it's good to see him there repping the main Harriers singlet with the UCLA t-shirt. Julian spent a bit of time in the US. Learned a lot of things over there and probably taught the US a lot of things too. He's quite an intelligent man, does his research on his discus, his diet and everything as he goes for his final throw. And probably just a little shorter than his best tonight, which I'm guessing will hand Matt Denny the win. But let's tune in to his final throw as he chalks up that discus.
Looks like he's had a nice little haircut too.
Very sharp, Matt.
Looking the goods out there, Matt.
Tucking the shirt in as well. It's good to see.
So he's chalked the discus up.
Bit of extra grip. Hard to get a discus to spin like a flying saucer if you can't get any grip on it. And it looks like his best throw of the night. The officials have given him the white flag in the circle. Every time he steps into that circle, no doubt he's going for a PB and drawing himself closer to that 65-metre Olympic qualifier.
We're going to go to an ad break. There's plenty more athletics action after the break, including the men's 100 metres and the women's 100 hurdles. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths Queensland Track Classic.
The IAAF Nestle Healthy Active Kids Athletics program is fun, fast and awesome. It's an action-packed program filled with activities for all abilities from 5 to 12 years old. It's fun, fast and awesome. You can enjoy this program too now through the Sporting Schools program in primary schools across Australia. Come on, join us and sign up for athletics. For more information, check out athletics.com.au.
Welcome back to the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre for the Queensland Track Classic as we head back down to the women's high jump. The girls are struggling a little bit in these conditions. It's a bit slippery out there. But we still haven't even seen Eleanor Patterson. Just biding her time, waiting for the higher heights.
These girls that you see on screen are quality jumpers, both very young. Cassie Purdon, 19 years of age. She won the Queensland Champs. She was 5th at the 2014 World Junior Championships, now known as the World Under-20 Championships. She jumped 181 this season with a PB of 188. So on her third attempt at 179, she will have come to jump a little bit higher than that, but she'll start her preparations for the national champs. Fingers crossed for her that that goes well. And Hannah Joy will be jumping after our Japanese guest, Yuki Watanabe, the oldest jumper in the field. She came 4th at the Asian World Indoors, so she's been around. 179, her third attempt.
Getting the crowd behind her.
And not to be today, but she thanks the crowd for their support.
You can see anyone coming in from the same side as Yuki has got a big puddle of water that they have to run through, whereas the other side doesn't. Is that annoying in a high jump competition when you know that one side seems to have more of an advantage?
I'm sure if any of the girls on that side, and Eleanor will be one of those, if they thought the puddle was an issue, they would ask the officials to get the broom out, or maybe even get the broom out themselves and clean it up a little. But the track at this stage looks okay as we watch Hannah on her third attempt. And not to be today for Hannah.
Is there ever an advantage between going through being on either side? Like, so if you come...
Not that I know of. What do you mean,
What
Tamsin?
about if other events are on the go? Doesn't matter? Doesn't matter at all. There's no advantage, ever.
I guess when we start looking at the wind and perhaps where the wind's coming from.
That's pretty technical.
If there's a big crosswind coming, as we look at the screen, from left of our screen to the right of the screen, it may help the people coming from the left of the screen, as Eleanor will shortly, as a little bit of tail and an acceleration to take off. But as an athlete, you need to be able to manage and control that, which can be a disadvantage. Some people like running into a headwind. It might pop them up a little bit straighter, but high jump, like most events, are very individual. Everyone's got their own way of coping with the conditions.
And we saw in Perth for the Track Classic last weekend that they actually had to end up moving the whole high jump map because there would have been a disadvantage because of the technical plate that the girls coming in from...
Yeah, well, I think we ended up finding out that was a pole vault box.
Yes.
the great news about Perth is that there's a lot of pole vault boxes, there's a lot of runways. It's set up for pole vaulters and not necessarily the high jumpers. So there was an issue, and our national junior coach for high jump, Sandro Bassetto, was contacted, and he was able to ask the right people. And it's great that Athletics Australia and the organisers of the meet were more than happy to move the mats to accommodate the athletes. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, the athletes, and great to see so many talented athletes out there tonight.
It is great. You can see with the events that are leading into the nomination trials, the main reason that the athletes are competing on this Australian Athletics Tour is not only to get into great shape and to be race hardened and have match practice for the nomination trials, but it's also for some of them they need to get these Olympic qualifiers out. So the fact that the officials are working really hard to make it as easy as possible and to eliminate some of the disadvantages, sometimes like wind, that athletes have, is it's really, really brilliant to watch.
Yeah, we're very lucky in Australia. We've got a lot of great officials. You know, we're both from Victoria, and we can see it firsthand, the things that Victoria are doing to promote officiating, to help educate our officials. And I'm sure the rest of Australia are doing just as good a job as our locals. So Liz Lamb just there on her first attempt at 182, just clipping it with the calves. As Nicola lines up for her first attempt.
She's been doing well this season. She was equal second at the Melbourne Track Classic.
Back in the B race, looks like we've had a break in one of the outside lanes, waiting for the official doing. We'll be watching Josh Ross. Come back the second time, lane 5.
And great jump there from Nicola. That'll take the lead in the competition at 182. Eleanor yet to commence her assault on the event.
The gala dinner, Steve, is coming up. It's after the last day of the nomination trials, which is April 3rd, the Sunday evening. So if you want to buy tickets, go to athletics.com.au. The male and female athlete of the year are going to be announced, as well as the para athlete of the year. And tell you what's really exciting, they've got Kitty Chiller, the chef de mission for the Rio Olympics, and she's going to come to the evening and announce the first wave of athletes for the Australian track and field team.
For Rio.
For Rio.
Now, Tamsin, maybe later to entice the viewers to keep watching, you were rehearsing a few songs. Perhaps we can hear a song later in the evening.
I was just saying that if we needed some downtime, I would love to bring some maracas into the hosting, obviously, just to get the feel and the flavour for the Rio Olympics that are coming up later this year, and that our athletes are trying so hard to get qualifiers for tonight. I think maybe it was outvoted though from everybody else. Nobody apparently wants to hear me with my maracas singing.
Oh, by the end of the night, I'm sure we'll know whether we're allowed to get you on air singing or not.
We actually want people to be watching the live stream, Steve.
Oh, I thought you sounded lovely earlier, Tamsin.
There's a lot of athletics been on this weekend. Obviously, we've just come straight from the Sydney Track Classic. It's the double header. We're here at the Queensland Track Classic. But I tell you what, we woke up this morning and on Eurosport, if you were awake early enough, the IAAF World Indoor Championships were on, which featured some great Aussie talents who've been performing on the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour. They've headed over there to Portland, and we saw Brooke Stratton finish 5th. She did
very well. 6.75, I believe she jumped.
And that was an amazing competition. Brittany Reese on the last jump, she leapt 7 metres 22. It's huge. So Brooke would have learned a lot from that. I saw her early in the week at her local track at Nunawading, so she didn't actually leave to go over there till Wednesday morning. And, you know, she's not obviously going to get over the jet lag in that time, so she's gone over there, no fuss, no frills, and she's performed. Brilliant.
It's a long flight over to Portland too. The home of athletics, some may say.
Yep.
A lot of history in Portland.
home athlete for the Queensland Track Athletics is Alana Boyd. She went over there with high hopes. Unfortunately, in her last attempt in the warm-up, she landed awkwardly and she hurt her ankle. But we've got word out of Portland that it's not as bad as first thought, and she may hopefully be still right for the nomination trials.
And we all send you our best, Alana, for a quick recovery. We know you're in amazing form, and the quicker you can get back to the training that showed us your 471 clearance in Melbourne not long ago, and a couple of other jumps at that height recently, I'm sure you'll get back to that form and more very soon.
It's a dangerous event, pole vault, so it's really fortunate that she didn't do any worse damage, because obviously Rio being her main target. We have the women's 100 hurdles coming up later, and Abby Tadeo is going to try and push towards that elusive Olympic qualifying time. She's PB'd this season with 13:30. It's missing Michelle Jenneke, because she was also over there at the World Indoors and she performed today. First time ever on an indoor track, and she missed the final by 1/100th of a second, but that's an admirable performance first up.
Ladies and gentlemen, change to the finish line as we
And that was Cassie Purden's first attempt at 185. Quite close, it'll give her confidence for the next one. And this is the height that Eleanor will start at, 185. Quite a high starting height. And she had a fair bit of height there too, but just didn't get the timing over the bar. As we watch Mr. Tim Leithart jog down and get ready for his 100 metres tonight.
Saw Tim at the Meat Hotel this morning. He looked very relaxed. He was talking to me about how he still struggles to run around the bend with his knee injury that he had. He said he has a hole in his knee still, which is kind of alarming, but apparently he can still run down the straight very, very fast. So looking forward to seeing this men's 100 metres tonight, Steve.
10:42 is personal best. Please welcome Hayden Kovacic.
We have there Hayden Kovacic, the 22-year-old man from New South Wales. His PB's 10:42 and he won the New South Wales champs. And our Fijian friend, Tambakathuro.
Joseph Miller.
So here's our start list. In lane 1, Ben Jaworski. Lane 2, Hayden Kovacic. Lane 3 from New Zealand, Joseph Miller. Lane 4, Tom Gamble. Lane 5, Aaron Stubbs. Lane 6, Alexander Hartman. Lane 7, Banvu Tambakathuro. Lane 8, Benjamin Hayward. And in lane 9, Tim Leithart. There's been a lot of banter online.
There's been
a few videos produced. And 2 of those 3 gentlemen part of the banter on the outside of potentially our favourite tonight, Aaron Stubbs. 2 Queensland boys. Alex giving us a little wink after a couple of videos he put out. Friendly banter, no doubt, for anyone wondering.
So next to the main stadium is another track where the athletes were warming up. Before we came live to air, I went across to the warm-up track to see what the athletes were doing out there, Steve. And the men's 100-metre runners were warming up. And obviously the banter during the week was a bit of fun, but you could cut the air with a knife out there. There was a lot of intensity. Spoke to Aaron Stubbs. He looks ready to go. He had his big headphones on, listening to his tunes.
He's the fastest man in the field this season. He ran 10:23 not long ago. He won in Melbourne. He won the Queensland champs. He won the Canberra Classic. And he was also our 2009 Stall gift winner. So he'll be the man to beat. But our friend from Fiji, Tambakathuro, he came second at our national championships last year and has a PB of 10:22. We haven't seen him run this year, so could be the dark horse.
I'm excited for this event because obviously we have Josh Clark, who's out with a hamstring injury, who hosted that Olympic qualifier in Canberra earlier this year. But Aaron Stubbs is edging closer and closer. He falls agonisingly short in the last couple of times he's raced, but he's in shape to do this. And if the wind's favourable, which they've turned the race around, and the competition's definitely there.
And a big thanks to the meet managers and Athletics Australia for turning it around. Not always do we get the privilege of the favourable conditions, but we do tonight.
Obviously, nobody can break these days with the new rule. Makes it even more nerve-wracking watching the men's 100 at the start.
And a wise move there from Tumbakathuro, who's just notching his blocks down a little. Quite steep for a sprinter. Generally have to be quite strong and powerful to maintain a drive of a low angle heading towards the finish line if your blocks are that high. But he clearly is a strong man, as is this gentleman on screen, Tom Gamble. So it'll be a good showdown between Alex Hartman and Tom Gamble, but Aaron Stubbs in the middle might just upset their party.
I know we've got Lynchy, Matt Lynch, down trackside, and he's very excited about this event, so I'm looking forward to seeing him tackle the winner of the race, to have a chat to them after.
And let's not count out our New Zealand friend, Joseph Miller. His PB of 10.32 is only 0.01 faster than his run this year. 10.33. He was third in the Canberra Track Classic. And known for a good start, so watch him early.
So the elusive time we're looking for, we want the clock to stop at 10.16 or under. It's Tom Gamble, Aaron Stubbs and Alex Hartman. It's their home track, so they'd love to do it in front of their home crowd, wouldn't they?
Again, as we were saying before with the Discus Boys, the Queensland Discus Boys, bragging rights are on the line.
As we go to the start.
After a big start by Joseph Miller on the inside, Aaron Stubbs looked to be the winner halfway down, and then Hartman on the outside. That 200-metre stamina flew home.
It's interesting, usually in the past races, Stubbs has gone through the field in the middle a lot smoother and more relaxed. He looked a little bit tense tonight, maybe the occasion of being a home meet and knowing that he's getting close to that standard. He tried just that little bit too hard, but Hartman was beautiful and relaxed in that back end, and his 200 form showed. He came over the top of the sprinters.
And we just heard over the loudspeaker 10.29 for Alex Hartman as we watch a slow start by him, but he does get moving at this 50-metre mark. Aaron Stubbs, as you said, Tamsin, looking a little tense. Those long strides of Alex, those last few strides, 10.29. That's a PB for him.
It was a great start by Joseph Miller, the New Zealander, and it really made poor Tom Gamble's start look very poor. He'll be disappointed with his start, and that's the reason why in the results he'll be so far down. But the boys worked hard through that middle section, and it was a great run by Hartman. It's looking very, very good for him for the 200 metres later.
Lovely warm-up.
Lovely warm-up. But what a season Alex Hartman's having. He's obviously posted the Olympic qualifier for the 200 metres. He did that in Canberra earlier this year. 20.45. That's really starting to rock and roll. And he'll be stoked to see that his 100-metre speed is really coming together too.
Wow, 100-metre PB. He's got the 200 later. If I was at home, I'd be getting some food nice and quick and nestling into the TV or the computer to see whether he can pop a PB out home track in the 200 a bit later tonight.
Goes to show for anyone watching back home, any youngsters watching at home, it's so hard. You think it's so easy to run 100 metres, but the thing you want to do when the race is so close and intense is you want to try harder, but the worst thing you can do is tense up. There's Eleanor
at 187. Third and final jump, which
will give her another 3 at the next height. She's done it again in the 3rd attempt clearance. Doesn't matter what attempt you clear it on, if you clear it.
How calm she is, it's brilliant. That is a talent to have. It's like we were saying in the men's 100 just then, you need to relax to run faster. Eleanor's got that talent naturally. It's 3rd attempt, 3rd and final attempt. She needs to clear the bar. Most people would be tense and nervous and uptight. She always looks so relaxed and calm. Okay, we've got Matt Lynch down there with our winner of the 100.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Tamsin. Now we do have the winner of the men's 100 metres, Alex Hartman. Mate, cracking start. How was it?
Mate, I actually stumbled at the start. A couple of steps out and I stumbled and I was like, oh. So I really dug deep and pushed out hard. So happy to get the win. Stoked.
And a 10:29 personal best, and you've got the 200 later. How does that feel preparing for that race now?
Really good, really good. I'm really excited. I'm expecting a pretty quick time. If the track dries up a bit more, then who knows what could happen.
Oh, well, fingers crossed. Thank you, Alex. He's got PB already. Maybe he'll do it into 200. Tamsin, back up to you.
Thanks, Lynchy. There's plenty more athletics action after the break, including the women's 100-metre hurdles. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour, Summer of Ass, Queensland Track Classic. Eleanor coming back.
Height at 189, first attempt.
Clipping it with her calves.
Oh, hard to tell. As a coach, I would probably say let's just accelerate a little more through those last couple of steps. She looked like she slowed down just a tad.
Eleanor has a great relationship with her coach.
They've been together for a long time.
David, she always, whenever she does well at any event, she always quick to thank him. They have a great athlete-coach relationship.
If only we could be a fly on the wall in the conversation they're about to have. As Cassie lines up for her second attempt at 189.
This will be a PB for her if she clears it.
And not far off there, PB of 188. Does look in danger if she can pop a little higher on her third and final attempt coming up in a minute.
And Cassie's another one of those ones, 19 years old to watch. Her season's best of 181. So she's having a great night leading into the nomination trials. Speaking of that confidence that you want, being on the way up when it counts.
Keep you updated as that progresses. Introduce you to our competitors shortly.
Is there a rule, Steve, how you can speak to your coach within competition?
As long as you're within the cones, they'll place the cones out in a designated. Speak with your coach sort of whenever and wherever you like, but only within the cones. As we see Eleanor miss her second attempt there. A lot of cameras are here tonight. That'll be the biomech team taking some footage. Eleanor and her coach will be able to check that a little later, see what worked, what didn't. Perhaps the differences in run-up speed, curved angle between her clearances and her misses. And third attempt at a PB height of 189. Cassie Purdon.
Looking pretty relaxed too. I love how high jumpers talk to themselves on the attempt in. So with her hands.
Tonight, she'll be happy with how she jumped. That's a season's best for her.
Her body language says she's pretty happy, I think. Be good to see her compete in a couple of weeks' time for nomination trials.
Tough event, the high jump. Likewise with the pole vault. Most of the time you'll finish on a failure.
Yes.
So the mindset of an athlete's pretty important. How do you switch off or switch from having a PB height sometimes, and then the last jump that you do, oh, so close and yet so far. Very rarely do you see an athlete clear a height and then say, yeah, that'll do me, thank you very much, I'll take the PB or I'll take the win. Most elite athletes always like that next jump or that next thing. They're always looking for that faster time. You run a sub 2 minute 800 and then want to run 159 the next week. Unless you were just partying for a week after running a sub 2.
Still recovering, I would think. Oh, not happy. She's going back.
Waking herself up for a third attempt, 189.
A better attempt.
Not tonight, Eleanor Patterson.
Not to be tonight.
Third miss, 189. She was clear.
And I like how it annoys her. She wants to jump high every time she gets out there.
Women's high jump.
And the start list for the women's 100-metre hurdles. We've got Cassie Simmons in lane 1.
Rasvinda Gill in 2, Abby Tadeo, the one to watch in 3, Yumi Tanaka in 4, Liana Seymour will probably be the one to look for post Abby Tadeo, and 6, Kira Womersley, and 7, Summer Johnson. Abby Tadeo trains out of that Penny Gilly squad in Sydney, who had James Gurr run the 800 at the Sydney Track Classic and win it before we came live to air here. Abby was on the warm-up track before, looking very relaxed and chilled out. Her flat speed has been fantastic this year, shown in her 100 and 200 metre PBs. I think in Melbourne Track Classic when we saw Jenneke and Brianna race so well, and Abby didn't do as well as she would have liked. I think we saw the problem with her flat speed being so good, she got just that little bit too close to the hurdles and wasn't yet used to that newfound speed that she had. So,
which can happen, and we saw that in Perth with a lot of the hurdlers. Tailwind, fast track, you're peaking for the biggest event of the season. As we have a quick look at the results for the men's, Alex Hartman 10.287. We've got triples. Joseph Miller second in 10.32. Aaron Stubbs 10.32 as well. Tom Gamble 10.38. Kovacic 10.41. Tambakathuro, his first run for the season at 10.47. Ben Jaworski 10.55. Tim Leithart 10.59. And Ben Hayward 10.75.
Now Alex Hartman will be happy with the scalps that he's taken in that race. Really, really looking forward to seeing what he can produce in the 200 metres later. As we go back down to the women's 100 hurdlers, you can see Abby Tadeo there.
She'll be the one to beat.
From the left.
Yumi Tanaka, we haven't seen her run this year. She's a 17-year-old girl from Japan. 13.74 is her best, so she's an up-and-comer. And Rasvinda Gill from New South Wales. 14.10 is her best time this season, but a PB of 13.68. Keen to see how far she can go today. And I mentioned to our heptathlete in lane 2, Cassie Simmons. She was 14th at the World Junior Champs in her heptathlon. Took a bit of time off to travel, and now she's back in a full training. She'll be looking at the Nationals, at the National Multis in a couple of weeks' time. Let's see what she can do against the hurdlers tonight.
Look for Abby to get a quick start out. She tends to be the first to react and be up on that first hurdle. When you do have newfound speed, Steve, over the hurdles, and you have a race where you do feel like you're getting on top of the hurdles too quickly, when you go back to the training track, do you work on anything particular, maybe getting that lead leg snapped down faster so you can...
Yeah, you can definitely work on the technique. You can also look at moving the hurdles in a little closer than what they would normally be. So you might move them half a foot or sometimes even a whole foot closer from just working on the turnover between hurdles.
So what you're trying to do is, do you ever shorten that stride on purpose to try and get those 3 steps in between? Or
yeah, if you move the hurdles a little closer for that training purpose, you'll have to chop a little bit, but you'll get used to increasing the stride rate between the hurdles, potentially altering your technique a little bit to allow that to happen.
It's amazing seeing the difference between the men's high hurdles and the women's 100 hurdles. Men's high hurdles are so tall that you often see that all the men's hurdlers are very tall athletes. Women's hurdlers tend to be like going back in time, but Gail Deaver's type where they're short and really strong. So obviously the space between the hurdles isn't as great, obviously being 100-metre hurdles, but for the girls they can be shorter and get those stride pattern in.
84 centimetres high, 10 flights of hurdles for the girls in the 100 metres.
.13 flats, the time we're looking for.
And a good start there by Abby Tadeo, leading the way. She goes over hurdle 4, hurdle 5. Nice and strong. Lovely technician over the final one, and she'll take the win tonight very convincingly. Pretty clean run by Abby.
Yeah, that's the kind of race that you're looking for leading into the trials. She obviously would have been missing Michelle Deneke out there, and also, of course, we are on the home track of Sally Pearson. Not quite the Gold Coast where her true home is, but she does love competing here at Cusack, and she will be, I'm sure, watching and wishing that she was out there. She loves to compete, but I'm sure we'll see her very soon. Great start by Abby to the first hurdle. She is very quick. You can see her flat speed, the difference between her and the other girls. She is motoring between those hurdles.
And good to see Yumi Tanaka from Japan, the 17-year-old, taking out second there. Quite a tall 17-year-old. She's got a bright future ahead of her.
And it's great that she wasn't overawed by the occasion. She came out there. She hopefully ran close to her personal best, but took the second against older athletes. But that was a really, really strong run by Abby. She looked great. Yeah, so isn't it funny how the men's high hurdles, if you do see them, they are really tall athletes.
3'6", yeah.
And their hurdles, I mean, they come over most people's hips. They're genuinely, that's why they're called the high hurdles, I guess.
They get in the way of a fast 110-metre sprint.
Yeah. And the other thing, as a sprinter, if you watch the sprints race, you notice that the athletes keep their heads down for a very long way. In the hurdles, they obviously can't do that, or they'd smack into the first hurdle, so they pop up so that they can sight that first hurdle early.
Most hurdles will take 7 or 8 steps before, so you've only got a few steps to start driving out until you have to quickly sight where that hurdle is.
Looks like we've got Lynchy down trackside with the winner of the 100 hurdles.
All right, I'm down here with Abby Tadeo. She doesn't even know the time. 13:36 the win, 1.3 I think it was. How does it feel? You're out there by yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't execute the start the way I wanted to, but I kind of thought when I come to hurdle 3, I kind of brought it together a bit. So, you know, overall I'm happy with the race. It's my second fastest time this season. Wasn't the best race, but hey, 13:36, second fastest time. can't really complain.
And probably a good little booster before Nationals in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So next week off and then international, so try to freshen up. I've actually been a bit sick this week with a head cold, so I'm actually pretty stoked with the time, so yeah.
Can't complain with that. Abby Tadeo, winner of the women's 100-metre hurdles.
Thanks, Lynchy. Yeah, no, obviously if she's been sick, it's not handy being sick, but she's probably got the sickness out of the way well and truly at a good timing so that she can be cherry ripe to go by the nomination trials. Okay, there's plenty more action ahead after the break, including the women's 800 and the women's 400 coming up later in the program. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths Queensland Track Classic. Welcome back to the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre for the Queensland Track Classic. We've just watched the women's 100-metre hurdles. Abby Tadeo took the win in 13.3. Yumi Tanaka, 13.96. Eliana Seymour was third in 14.0. It was a great run by Abby Tadeo.
And apologies at home for all those mathematicians that are looking at those triple decimal places and going, oh, we should have rounded them up, we should have rounded them down.
We're trying our best.
Not normal. We get the privilege of having 3 decimal places.
At least if there's a close race later, maybe the women's 400 with Annalise Ruby and Morgan Mitchell.
I know back at home, the Box Hill Little Athletics Club, when they finish, they get a printout of their ticket and they have 3 decimal places. So I guess if Box Hill Little Athletics can do it, then we can do it too.
As we're watching some future stars of track and field, I'm sure they'll be tuning in a couple of weeks to watch the nomination trials, which will be going live on the Friday, the 1st of April, the Saturday night.
I like that cheeky look across the shoulder from
2nd of
lane
April.
4. She knows that she's there.
And Sunday Arvo, the 3rd of April. Oh, this is where the 400 metres hurts. What a great finish. Speaking of the 400, later this evening, we're going to be watching Annalise Ruby take on Morgan Mitchell. Morgan's had the better of the battle this season, but obviously Annalise Ruby's got the faster personal best.
Which she ran at the World Champs, I believe.
Yes, she did.
Keen to see that coming up shortly. It's been a big weekend of Little Athletics. So we've got the Queensland Little Athletics Champs at the moment. New South Wales have their Little Athletics Champs. And today and tomorrow has and will be the Victorian Little Athletic Championships. Great to see so many kids doing their thing. As we cross over to the triple jump. Now, one of the big men to watch here, Alwyn Jones. He needs a 2-centimetre PB to qualify for Rio. His first jump tonight was 16:41, which is a great start.
He's been so consistent.
He's had a great season.
He's had a sore heel as well, which I'm guessing is a typical injury for triple jumpers.
Well, if you speak to Alwyn and his coach, Vasily, they think shin splints and load issues in triple jump do not exist. If you train right and you you have good mechanics, then
Wow.
there are issues that you shouldn't have.
As I was growing
Which is
up,
a fair call.
we used to call the triple jump cripple jump because it looked like it hurt so much. But these guys are tough. They're amazing to watch. If you actually measure it out in your hallway or your lounge, how far they can actually jump, triple jump, it's amazing when you step it out.
If anyone at home listening has a lounge that has 16 metres from wall to wall, please give us a buzz on either the personal phone or Twitter, and we'll come over for a dinner, or we'll bring food if you're happy to provide the space. So, with that triple jump, 16.85 is the Olympic qualifier. Alwyn's probably the one to watch with his PB at 16.83. He's jumped 16.59 this year already. He won the Perth Classic. He is our Victorian champion. Not once, but many times. He's been to the World Uni Games. He came 7th in 2013. And Commonwealth bronze medalist in 2000 and, dare I say, 10 years ago.
He's been a great performer for Australia in the triple jump, and unfortunately he possibly hasn't been recognised as much as he probably should be. The qualifying standard of 16.85 seems incredibly hard.
Just feeling the pain of hitting the ground going that far 3 times in a row with your hop, your step, and your jump. 16.85,
Alwyn has an amazing hop and step. I'm not questioning his jump, but I just know when I watch him, his hop and step just look like they are amazing phases of his triple jump.
He's been jumping for a long time. His technique's quite refined. Like every triple jumper, you'll have the ones where you just go for that little bit extra and can't manage it. But fingers crossed for tonight. Wouldn't it be great to see another Rio Olympic qualifier?
It's about maintaining your form through those phases, trying not to over-rotate. It's so frustrating. The more speed you put into it, you have to still be able to control it through the phases.
Good posture, trying to maintain the momentum and the speed through. You don't want to lose too much speed as you do your hop. If you go too high and you come down too hard, then it's hard to maintain the speed through your step and your jump.
When you think about how little Alwyn Jones needs, because there are 3 phases, if you just broke it down to just a little bit extra in each of the phases, he's definitely got it in there. And I think because he is a popular member of the Australian athletics team, I think that everybody is so desperate to see him get it because he so deserves to be on that Olympic team.
He's a good man and he does give back to the sport. He's been coaching over the last few years too. He's got a little squad back in Melbourne that he works with. No doubt a couple of those athletes are competing over the weekend with their own little championships.
And it is the season of championships. Speaking of those nomination trials, Steve, are there any events that you're really looking forward to? Because I know that the event that I come... The decathlon, I love it. Well,
Speaking of...
Are you not biased or anything, are
I
you?
definitely am not biased, and for those at home, this young gentleman on screen, Ashley Maloney, could be the future of decathlon.
And he's doing an event which isn't in the decathlon.
He's clearly a talented man. He had a very big week last week. He was second in his under-17 triple jump. As we go to the 400 metres of the under-15, we've got Josephine, Melanie, Georgia, Stephanie, Emily, Tara and Ashley ready to run their one lap of, what would you call it, pain? Torture?
Pain. At that age,
Enjoyment?
I'd have to say it was pain and torture. So go down in the starting blocks. This is the most nerve-wracking point. Waiting for the starters' commands. Alone with your thoughts in the blocks.
The double braid, it's a good sign.
Looks like Georgia Humphreys, who's got away to a flyer. Running down the back straight. What you want to see with these youngsters, obviously they're still too young to be doing heavy training, so you want to see them smooth and relaxed down that back straight because there's still a long way to go.
And that's Dell on the outside, really taking it. She doesn't know where anyone is just yet, so she's gone out hard, hoping to come home strong.
It's pretty tough when you're on the outside running blinds, but...
Girls on the inside. Georgia Humphreys looks like she's taken the lead with 115 metres to go with Stephanie Gerbert on her outside. As they come into the home stretch, 50 metres to go. Stephanie Gerbert's challenging, but Georgia looks like she's got this one covered, stretching it out. And Georgia Humphreys,
takes the win.
Just a little athletics, will take the win.
And then Ashley Dell finished really strongly out there in the outside lane. The girls just ran brilliantly. It's a tough event, the 400. You can see by how they're bent over in pain and breathing heavily.
Good job, girls.
You know, if you see a girl out there in the 400 metres or a boy, they're tough.
They've got grit.
Great job, and she's broken 60 seconds, which is an amazing effort.
Sub 60.
For an under 15.
She might be able to pace the 800 tonight. I think the girls are looking to go around in about
59 seconds.
59 point.
I dare you to go down and ask her if she can do another 400.
I might.
Lynchy's down there with her. Maybe he can ask her.
All right, I am with Georgia Humphreys, the winner of the under-15 girls 400 metres. Georgia, run us through the race.
Well, I just started out, I think I had a pretty good start, and then I tried gaining on Steph, who was in lane 4 next to me, and then came around the bend, all pretty close, and I tried really hard. Surprised I got the win in the end.
Excellent. How does it feel? They asked upstairs, do you reckon you could run another 400 right now?
No, definitely not. Not at that pace. So.
Not at that pace. Georgia Humphreys, the winner of the under-15 girls 400 metres.
Great effort, Georgia. I'm impressed that she was able to talk after a 400 metres.
I reckon she could run another one. Give her a few minutes rest.
Future talent. Her start definitely was great.
As we go to the under-15 men's, so we've got Jahal, Ryan, Mitchell, Darius, Matthew, Jaden, Oscar and Adam about to line up for their one lap of torture. I mean enjoyment challenge.
This is a nice prelude into the men's 400.
That's going to be a cracker. I'm not sure what I'm looking forward to more. The men's 400, Luke Stevens, can he go sub 46?
Yes.
Or the girls?
Very exciting events coming up after this boys 400 metre sprint under 15. It's great to see the youngsters mixing it on the track with the senior athletes, rubbing shoulders with some of their idols, I'm sure. Darius in lane 4, trying to go with a standing up start. They're making him do a crouch start now. He was trying to do the standing up 800 metre start. It's blockless though.
It's nice that they've not forced him to use the blocks as they sometimes do when doing a crouch start.
And they're away. Oh, he still got out quite well without blocks. So that's lane 4, Darius.
Matthew Cheeseman working well down the back straight. Looks like he's working hard. Hope he's got enough energy for the second 200 as they do hit the bend.
This is the business end of the race. This is where the pain barrier starts to kick in. A lot of athletes tend to have a bit of a breather around there, but I tell you what, it looks like Cheeseman isn't thinking about having a rest. Cheeseman and Jaden Krushka on the outside.
And it looks like Oscar Walker has taken the lead, really powering home. He's got 35 to go.
It's Jaden Krushka.
Jaden, sorry Oscar. You're doing well too, Oscar. Keep it up. But well done, Jaden Krushka, taking the win there. And rightfully so, hands on knees, trying to catch as much breath back as he can.
He's certainly got a motor on him. He finished really strongly the back end of a 4. You don't tend to see that at the back end of a 4. Usually that's where everyone starts to climb stairs and you see the face start to contort and the grimacing come into it.
Great sportsmanship there, Tamsin. Hugs all round.
Coming into the final straight, it was a race in 2 between Cheeseman and Krushka in lane 4, 5 and 6, with Krushka really motoring away. powering to that finish line. It looked like he could have done another lap. Maybe we should ask him if he can.
Maybe he wants to pace the 800s a bit later.
Lynchy's down there with the winner.
Thank you, Tamsin. I'm with the winner, Jaden. Now, they're asking again, would you go for another lap right now?
No, thank you. No,
No, thank you?
no.
How was the race? What's the conditions like out there at the moment?
Oh, it's okay. I mean, the track would be drier. It affects it a little, but overall good.
Got any more events this weekend?
That was my last event.
A good way to finish on a goal. We got Jaden, the winner of the under-15 boys 400 hurdles. 400 hurdles, 400 metres.
Thanks, Lynchy. There's plenty more athletics action after the break, including the men's 400, the women's 800, and that men's 200 metres coming up. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths Queensland Track Classic.
The IAAF Nestle Healthy Active Kids Athletics program is fun, fast and awesome. It's an action-packed program filled with activities for all abilities from 5 to 12 years old. It's fun, fast and awesome. You can enjoy this program too now through the Sporting Schools program in primary schools across Australia. Come on, join us and sign up for athletics. For more information, check out athletics.com.au.
Welcome back to the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre for the Queensland Track Classic. Wow, we just saw some exciting under-15 400-metre races. Always great to see the juniors out there having a go. And here's the result from the women's under-15. Georgia Humphreys, that was a great effort to break 60, 59.4. Stephanie was second in a minute. She was almost under 60, and Ashley Dell was third in 101. Back down to the triple jump.
Rowan Sutton on the runway.
Ooh.
Didn't like that one, Rowan. Might have overcommitted on the hop and just not confident to go through the step.
It'd be sensible to pull out if you weren't confident, obviously, because you do see, you know, if they freeze the triple jump and they go through the phases slowly, you do see a lot of movement on that ankle joint. So if you're not feeling comfortable that you're going to control it, it's probably sensible to pull out.
When you're looking at up to 15 times your body weight coming down, that is some serious pressure. These boys aren't overly heavy, but let's call them 80 kilos. All of a sudden, that's over 1,000 kilos of force.
Yep.
In and out of your body. 16:41 currently leads that triple jump. Alwyn Jones. You could add 44 centimetres to that tonight. We'll all be celebrating his new Rio Olympic qualifier.
Alwyn should be up on the runway next. No? Okay, the men's, well, under 15, 400 metres. The results, Jaden Krushka powering to the line in 54.27. Cheeseman was second in 55.44. Mella third in 55.65. And Darius Maris, 56.08. Let's go down to trackside to Lynchy for an update on what's happening down there.
Thank you, guys. Unfortunately, Alwyn Jones and our leader in the triple jump has left the competition after 3 rounds. I'll try and find out what the issue is there. And Ashley Maloney, I just saw him walking down in front of me before, he's left the comp too. So the field is dwindling in this men's triple jump, Tamsin.
Thanks, Lynchy. See, Steve, I did tell you it was better known as the triple jump. It's a tough event on the bodies.
Wow. Yeah, fingers crossed for Ashley. As we were talking about him before, he had a really big week in Perth.
Yeah.
He won the pole vault in a new meet record in his under 17 age group. He came second in the triple jump, 14:43, I believe he jumped. He did the 400. He ran a 50 point there. He's a very talented boy. Training now with our other Australian leading decathlete, Cedric Dubler. with Eric Brown, so there's a good stable there.
Who's here watching tonight?
Cedric is definitely out in the audience here somewhere at QE2.
Takahashi. He's still out there competing. 16:21 jumper at best. This is his first competition for the year.
Might only be 3 out there now with the cripple jump taking a few victims.
Okay, so before we were talking about the nomination trials, hopefully Alwyn Jones is just probably got a little bit of a soreness, and he knows that the main place that he needs to perform is the nomination trials, so he's hopefully gone off the track to sort that out so that he's right to go and get that standard in 2 weeks' time. But events to look out for, because there's a couple of events where we may have more than the quota that we're allowed to send of 3 athletes qualified, and one of those events is the men's 800 metres. And that final's going to be on the Saturday night, which we will be live streaming. And you've obviously got Jeff Risley, who's been injured. He's coming back from injury, and he was in fantastic shape over the 2 laps last year. Alex Rowe doesn't have his qualifier, struggling for form so far this season, but he's training well on the training track, and it'll only take that. I always say to people, cream rises, and he's obviously equal Australian record holder, so he knows how to run fast. And then you've got Luke Matthews, who's blown the event apart this season. He's got his Olympic qualifier from possibly the event of Melbourne Track Classic, those scenes where he was hugging his mates. That was pretty special. And he ran the 1500 tonight in Sydney. He came second to Ryan Gregson, who did his famous kick-down kick and blew everybody away in that last lap.
And then you've got Josh Ralph, also already qualified.
Yep.
Qualified by having a qualifying performance. So selections will happen, as we said before, at that gala dinner on Sunday night at the end of the Nationals, but going into the National Championships with a qualifier will do him favours.
And James Gurr won Sydney Track Classic today in the 800, and he missed the standard by less than 0.1, less than 1/10 of a second in Melbourne Track Classic. So it's just going to be one of those events where anything can happen. Form's the form as you're going in, but athletes are preparing to peak for those trials.
We've got the 800, 1500 double that a couple of those athletes will be thinking about.
Yep.
Not sure if they both, being Jeff Risley, Luke Matthews, plan on doing the 8 and the 15 at Nationals, but we'll find out. Have you got any other info on that one?
Well, before we do that, let's go back down to Lynchy, see if he's got any more info for us down trackside.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I am down here on the track. Got some beautiful triple jump conditions. It is very, very still here at the moment. Did pick up a little bit before for those 100s. We see it getting stiller and stiller towards the end, and the hurdles and the men's A-Race 100 getting a legal tailwind. And hopefully a few of these younger triple jumpers can go very well. We had Benjamin Smidgen there, a late up-and-comer. He won the under-17s over in Perth, and Rowan Sutton, he was third in the under-20s. Those boys going up against the Japanese competitor. We see, just wait in here. We've got some 400s and some 800s coming up a little bit later. Well, hopefully those 400s, I don't know about Tamsin, but when I was running my 400s, I didn't mind a big tailwind down the back straight. It helped me get up to speed, and I don't think it matters what happens in the home straight. You're just going to die anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's a headwind. So it should be pretty good here at the moment, as we've got some awesome 400s. Luke Stevens, 46.06 at the Champs in Victoria. Should be running very, very quickly. And then we go to the last event, Annalise Ruby versus Morgan Mitchell. They've both run 51 in their careers, and maybe they can drag a few of the other girls a little bit faster in those races. All right, back up to the commentary position. You see the Japanese guy just missing his step at the end. Tamsin and Steve.
Thanks, Lynchy. And it's true, most 400 runners do prefer the tailwind down the back straight, and as we saw with the events being turned around in the men's 100 and the women's 100-metre hurdles, the wind is going to be favourable for the way Lynchy likes to run his fours. So we head down to the women's javelin. We don't have our special Ks, Catherine Mitchell, Kim Mickle or Kelsey Lee Roberts tonight. But the event goes on, Steve.
No doubt. We've got a couple of juniors in there that'll make this event exciting. Tiana List and Ellie Bauer down there, a couple of Queenslanders that took out national titles last week. The Olympic qualifier is 62 metres, which our special Ks have all got.
What an exciting event the javelin's been for the women's in Australia. Not only for the special Ks in this era, but back in the era of Louise McPaul and Joanna Stone. That was awesome when those two used to compete. There's something about homegrown competition bringing out the best in our athletes. The fact that you can just go out into the track in Australia and have great competition, great world-class competition, it brings athletes on. And the women's javelin we've always been pretty good at, but this is really a golden era that we're in at the moment. And heading into Rio, those three girls, they've all got potential to make the final. How amazing would that be to have three girls in the women's javelin final later in the year?
And how good it'd be if they all medalled. Are we getting ahead of ourselves, perhaps?
Not at all, not at all.
No, you'll be fine, girls.
All three girls are great girls. They get along very well. Again, popular members of the team. We're back down at the triple jump. Obviously, we've lost Alwyn Jones, who was chasing that Olympic qualifier. He did 3 attempts, has decided to either rest up for nomination trials in a couple of weeks, or hopefully his body's all fine.
Ben Smitchen's sixth attempt there. As we go back to the jav. And one of the few of the Japanese competitors we've got here tonight, Yuka Sato, lets that one go. That's a solid throw by her. Her PB is 59.22. She was 9th at the World Youth Championships in 2009. Another javelin thrower that's not necessarily what you would classify as a tall javelin thrower. One of the events that long levers is definitely advantageous, but especially in Australia, the javelin throwers that we've got aren't super tall. Our Cass and Kim's a little bit below 6 foot, but can piff a jav super far, and clearly Yuka Sato is in that category too. Not super tall, but has a very fast arm, good technique.
I love how you go short people are a little bit under 6 foot.
Oh, I had to draw the line somewhere.
Okay, I'm one of the little people. I'm under 6 foot.
That throw by Sato was 53.69. And her teammate Miyashita is leading with 55.92.
Japanese athletes, obviously it's a perfect place for them to come down and get out of their winter season and prepare for the outdoor season that's ahead. It's straight down, travels easy, no jet lag, straight off the plane and competing. Australian athletes tend to do that too after our season. If we still need qualifiers, we head straight up to the Japanese tour and compete there.
Have you run in Japan yourself, Tamsin?
I have, and I love it. Run a few times in Japan. Lovely people. The meet organisers are always forthcoming and welcoming. It's a great place to travel to and compete. The thing I always struggle with in Japan, though, is at the start of the race, all the athletes bow. And, you know, we're used to waving maybe or having a smile, but, you stand on the start line and you've got 7 other athletes. They're all from Japan and they all spend, they bow a few times. So you're trying to work out how many times you're meant to bow, who you bow to. Is it to the crowd? Is it to the starter?
And how many times did you bow?
I think I managed to get out one and just thought, am I meant to be doing this? It's always nice when you go to a new country to try and respect their culture and do as they do.
And we've got Holly Robinson there from New Zealand holding the jav, getting ready to go. She came 3rd in the 2015 IPC champs. Her best is 40.41. And good to see a few of the local girls there. Number 209 there, Tiana List, our national junior champion. PB of 49.27. She threw at the Perth Track Classic as well, and narrowly missed their 49.50 World Under-20 qualifier. But still only a 17-year-old, so she's got another crack at the World Under-20 champs in a couple of years.
Still harsh to miss the qualifier by less than 30 centimetres. Great effort to get it out that far, though.
Not far. We're talking about the length of a fork for Hamish Peacock's throw last week. That's how much he missed his Olympic qualifier by. With Tiana, it's a long wooden spoon.
Okay, let's go down to Lynchy. He's with the winner of the triple... No, he couldn't be with the winner of the triple jump. He's off the track. Who are you with, Lynchy?
I'm with a youngster. He's an up-and-coming triple jumper. Last year he broke the Queensland and nearly the Australian under-16 triple jump. Benjamin, let me say this right. Schmidken?
Yep.
Yes, I got it right. Ben, this is your first track classic. How was it?
Well, the first jump I pulled out a nice jump, but technique-wise I wasn't too happy. But look, it's my first track classic, and it's also the first time I've jumped off the 13-metre board, so I'm quite happy with how I competed.
So what jump did you get right at the end? What was the winning jump for you?
The 14.54, I think. Yeah.
So you finished with a PB?
Yeah, it was 7 centimetre PB, I'm pretty sure. So I'm still happy, yeah.
Beautiful, mate. This is his first track classic and a PB. Many more to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynchy. Great effort by Ben. And what about how relaxed he is on camera? We've had some great competition from juniors. Obviously, we've got a tweet up on the screen from Luke Mitchell, loving the doubleheader tonight. What are your thoughts on the men's 100B race up in Brisbane? Summer of Aths, hashtag. If you want to get your tweet up, hashtag the Summer of Aths. 100B race went earlier with Josh Ross. I think if you've got Josh Ross in the B race, you know that we've got some serious talent in the men's 100. I'm really looking forward to the men's 100 at the nomination trials, where we don't have to separate them into A, B and C races. They have the heats, the semis, and then the people who are our fastest make that final.
And Alex Roberts on screen, throwing the jab out there. Not her best throw tonight, but she's still only 14 years of age, would you believe? She won the under-16 national juniors. So her age group throws a 500-gram jab. She's moving up for the big girls tonight to throw a 600.
And speaking of the juniors, World Junior team must be named soon. Obviously, the trials for our Australian under-20 team was at Perth last week. The team has a lot of potential in it. It's going to be an exciting team, and it's going to be on Eurosport later in the year in July in Bydgoszcz in Poland.
How good are Eurosport doing at the moment? Just lining it up, watching the World Indoors at the moment. They've got the World Under-20s coming up too.
They're also doing the Diamond Leagues, which means we can sit back and watch a lot of athletics heading into the Rio Olympics. Lynchy was obviously... Lynchy, are you down there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
You were obviously commentating for those junior races last week.
I was. It was beautiful. Perth. It's just... It is a long way to go. I do feel sorry for all the West Australian athletes who have to come east all the time, but no, it's good to see. The WA athletes turned up, won a lot of medals, but certainly got a few World Junior qualifiers, under-20 qualifiers, and I think this could be the biggest team yet.
Okay, and your track side now, right where the action is. The men's 400 runners are setting their blocks up. Did you see them walk past? Do they look relaxed? Tell us about Luke Stevens. Is he ready to go on break 46?
I think he might be. His lane is actually probably one of the driest. It is starting to dry, but it's drying from lane 9 inwards, and he's got himself in lane 5.
On that, we have the start list. Lynchy, lane 1, Alexander Carew. 2, Christopher Bailey. 3, Sam Baird. 4, Clay Watkins. 5, Luke Stevens. 6, Nicholas Boylett. 7, James Kermond. 8, June Kimarua. And 9, Kevin Rasool.
So Lynchy, you're a 400 runner, and this is a track you've run a few quick times. Any tips on this one? Who should we be looking out for?
Well, you've got Nick Boylett. He's back in the 400s, and he ran a 46.48 in 2011. Went to some 2s and some 1s. Got a bit of speed under his belt again, and he's got back to 46.48 again. He did that at Canberra. But we do have Luke Stevens, and he's just coming faster and faster. Canberra 46.12, then the Victorian State Champs 46.06. And everyone's talking about his pro race on grass.
Yes.
Off scratch, 45.8.
Was it out of Bendigo?
Out of Bendigo, that's right. So we're all wondering, was it legit? Will he do it again?
Was it downhill the whole way?
Could have been.
He's
That'd
on
be nice.
grass and he's having to run around people. I think it shows that he's got some serious talent, the youngster.
He certainly was running wide almost the whole way, but it's a good field here. We've got only one man in this field has gone sub 46. That's Clay Watkins. He ran 45.95 at the Australia Cup back in 2010 in Canberra. So he's coming into a bit of shape. He's always good for one of those mid-46 runs, and it's only starting to really get still down here, and I think we could see something quick.
It's nice. That's what we want to hear, that it's starting to get still for some of these big races that are coming up. I think the women's 800 runners will be happy to hear that the wind's dropped off. But this 400-metre race, Steve, is shaping up to be a very exciting run.
Well, as we watched Kevin Rasul there in lane 9, Doncaster athlete. He's had some really good form this year. He's gone sub 48. He's looking to go sub 47. His PB is 47.19. And for those that know Kev will have noticed he's had a haircut. He had a fair bit of hair, so he's clearly getting serious at the pointy end of the season.
He was at training at Doncaster Athletics track during the week and he would not take his cap off. So it's exciting to be able to finally see this famous haircut. But on screen at the moment we have the man of the moment, Luke Stevens.
He looks quite relaxed, almost a bit sleepy, but when he picked up his numbers, I bumped into him. He looked very cool, calm and collected. So he'd be confident to back up his good run in Bendigo.
He's a very unassuming character, isn't he? I don't think if you walk past him in the street, you'd realise just how quick he can go over the 1 lap distance.
Well, he's a quick 100-metre runner, 200-metre runner, 400. He's been on the pro circuit for a few years and just over the last couple really transferred that speed onto the track. He's our Victorian champion. He won in Canberra. As we said before, 46.06 his best so far this season. That 46 barrier is what we're all hoping that he can break.
It's good to see James Kerman back racing. He was first at the New South Wales Championships. So he could be one to watch. What about these boys' hairdos? Must be aerodynamic.
Oh, I can't talk about hairdos, Tamsin. I'll leave that one to you.
For those who don't know, Steve and I are both wearing ponytails right now. Male athletes and their hairdos. That's a whole other topic to be talking about.
Earlier this year, 46.06 in his personal
sneak peek of Darcy Roper having a chat to Tristan Thomas there. Not sure who's giving advice to who. As on track, the athletes for this 400 metres are getting introduced.
Please welcome Nick Boylett.
In lanes 1, 2, 3, we've got boys from the same club there. We've got Alex Carew, the president of the Melbourne Old Melburnians, that's the one. Couldn't put the words to tongue. Chris Bailey, Sam Baird. 46 seconds. Solid 4x14.
They dominated the Victorian State Relay Championships, didn't they? They even had a B team in the Victorian
Championships, 47.19.
You're just on screen. 46 flat is his PB. He was second in the Perth Classic. So he's come from one side of the country to the other.
Olympic Games qualifier, 45.
There's Kevin on the screen. He thought he was in the B race.
Start line.
Stoked to get a start in the A race.
In the relatively new club uniform of Doncaster. And let's not count out Nick Boylett. He's already run a 46.48 this season to win the Queensland Championships as they take their blocks.
Pretty even start across the board. Nick Boylett showing his 200 speed. He looks like he's the one who's going to take it down the back straight.
Luke Stevens, nice and relaxed down the back straight, following on from Nick Boylett's lead. Alex Carew on the inside, starting to make a move up on Chris Bailey there.
You can see with Luke's stride length, he is very relaxed, but Nick Boylett's really taking it to him, but you can just sense that. Let's go down to Lynchy to call this last part of the race.
All right, they're coming around 300 metres metres to go. It's Stevens and Boylett. Boylett leading into the home straight. Has got a good lead. Value there. But now here comes Luke Stevens. He went out nice and cruisy and he's turning it on. Watkins coming home strong. But here comes Luke Stevens and Kermond finishing fast. Luke Stevens taking it out. 46.34. James Kermond in second. And very tight between Chris Value and Clay Watkins.
Okay, that was an amazing race by Luke Stevens, wasn't it? And you could sense the way he was so relaxed down that back straight that he had more in the tank than somebody like a Nicholas Boylett who really took it to them. You know, and that's all credit to him. He wants to see if he can get that qualifier and, you know, you don't want to die wandering out there. Unfortunately for him, it meant that Nick Boylett climbed some stairs at that back end and had a couple of athletes, Kermond and Watkins and Value, come through him at the back end. But look here, look how relaxed Luke Stevens is. He is a big talent.
And apologies to Value. We called Alex moving up on Value, but that's actually Chris Value moving up on Sam Baird there in lane 2, who ran a really good race. But as we see, Luke Stevens, nice and cruisy, 100 metres to go. Then he gets going. Must be that the pro race. Like, he's good at the pros. We know he ran 45.8 running around the outside of people. He had his own lane to work with this time and came home really strong.
And what an effort. He's dominating this 400 metres for men. It's the second race he's won on the tour for over 400. He won in Canberra, obviously. So he's showing that he's not a one-hit wonder. He has come here tonight and he's really shown that he's the one to watch in the nomination trials in 2 weeks' time. But wasn't it a perfect example of the 400? You really have to nail your energy efficiency throughout the race. If you go too fast, the back end really hurts. As we get a tweet from Jared Sims, the decathlete, love the live coverage of the Track Classic, talking discus technique. Pancakes are tasty. I love it. He'd obviously know all about
Thank you very much for that one, Simsy. 2-time national champion, Jared Sims from South Australia. Good bloke, got married, got a kid on the way too, so very exciting.
Married a pole vaulter?
Sorry?
Did he marry a pole vaulter?
He did marry a pole vaulter, and she married a decathlete.
I like it, an athletic family.
Throwing that in there.
Kid on the way, fingers crossed, future athletic star.
Indeed, thanks for the tweet, Jared, and keep the tweets coming through.
Hashtag Summer of Aths. Now those 400 boys. Luke Stevens is really exciting. I love watching, you know, you remember Kathy Freeman when she ran down the back straight. She was so smooth and relaxed. And that's how Luke goes about the 400 metres. You could tell that he wasn't pedal to the metal down that back straight, but very relaxed. He should be able to talk. He's down with Lynchy right now.
We've got Luke Stevens, winner of the men's 400, 46.32. What was the plan going into tonight?
Well, like I said before, just then, I mean, I was feeling a bit sluggish today, just getting off from the airport. So, I mean, I just had to go in with the mentality to win, and it was a bit breezy there, so I just had to push through and make sure I got the win.
And anything, we've got 2 weeks till Nationals. What's the plan? Just train, recover, get ready for Nationals?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just keep doing what I've been doing this whole summer, and if I can get under that 46, I'll be stoked.
Thank you, Luke Stevens, 46.32. Back up to Tamsin.
What a great run, Lynchy. Luke Stevens, and see, he was talking quite fine after the 400. I think he's definitely in shape. He wins in 46.31. Second was James Kermond. Good run, 46.76. Third, Clay Watkins in 47.03, and that was close between him and Christopher Bailey in 47.09. Boylett faded at the back end in 47.23. Sam Baird, 47.30. Our visitor from Japan, Yoon Kimura, 47.46. And Kevin Rasul, 48.14. Alex Carew, 49.20. Now that has got us ready for what's about to come ahead. We have a women's 800, we have the men's 200, and we also have the women's 400.
I love how Luke Stevens can make a 400 look so easy.
Didn't he?
Lynchy was saying before that you go as hard as you can for 300, knowing you're going to die, and then you're going to die. And Luke almost turns that on its head and cruises the first 300, and knowing when the race is on the line, he just kicks in another gear.
It's amazing. You just watch the different styles of all the athletes, but you know, if you look back in history through the really, really great 400 runners, they do have that relaxed sprinting style. Their top end speed is done through relaxation, leg cadence, turnover, so that at the back end of the 400 they make it look really easily.
And as we head over to the javelin, Marisa Miyashita is our javelin leader. She's thrown 57.13 thus far as she accelerates down the runway. Nice wrap on it. Gets a good pull. and just gets down. All javelin throwers will know the pain of your javelin landing flat and no measurements. But that one makes a mark, not that it has to. The tip just has to touch the ground before the rest of the javelin. Sometimes hard to pinpoint where that actually lands, but that one's made a mark, which is a lot easier. As we go to the B 400 metre race for the men's. Lane 1, Luke Grimley. Lane 2, Kevin Moore. Lane 3, Hamish Baillieu. Lane 4, Robert Jopp. And lane 5, Alberto Campbell.
Now, Kevin Moore in lane 2, he'll be an interesting one to watch. Obviously, a lot of athletes know him from racing for New South Wales, and he transferred allegiances. He was at the Commonwealth Games for Australia, I'm pretty sure, in the 4x4. Won a gold medal, I think, as part of that cricket team performance when they celebrated their victory.
2010, yep.
And he felt that there was more opportunities for him to represent at the world stage going forwards by racing with Malta. So I think it's his father was Maltese. I'm sure if I've got this wrong, he will be calling me during the week to let me know. But he definitely has family ties, and so he's transferred, and it'll be interesting to see how he races. Obviously, he's a bit down off his best to be in the B race, but you know what? To get in shape, you need a race. So he's out here and he's having a trot.
Well, with a PB of 46.13, if he was anywhere near his best, I think he'll be definitely the one to beat here.
Bronze medalist New Zealand Championship, first event 48.18. New Zealand, Robert John. Lane 7, from Queensland, Alberto Campbell. Starts things 400 metre.
This is the nerve-wracking part of 400 when you're out there behind your blocks. Butterflies in your tummy, waiting for the starter.
Luke Grimley might be one to watch on the inside. We don't have a season's best for him here, so it'll be interesting to see what he pops out tonight. The other boys have all run low 48 seconds this year. Keen to go faster, no doubt, as they line up.
The inside is Grimley.
It's a pretty even start. On the inside, we've got Grimley, then Moore, Baillieu, Jopp, Campbell.
Jopp's taken out nice and hard for the first 100, looking relaxed down the back straight as he leads them down.
What you want to see is athletes being really relaxed down this back straight and then going into this bend and attacking, holding the speed that you've generated down that back straight through that top bend. Let's go down to Lynchy to bring it home for us.
Thanks, Tamsin. As we see Jopp on the outside, but now Moore turning it on. And this is the bit where he's always been strong on the inside in the Bankstown colours. It's going to be 3 across. You've got the Baillieu now coming home hard, but it's Kev Moore holding the lead at the moment. Only a few more metres to go. Kevin Moore is going to hold on. Baillieu in second, but Kevin Moore taking out 48.29. Baillieu and Robert Jopp, the New Zealander, in third.
Thanks, Lynchy. Kevin Moore should be pretty happy with that. I think what you want to be doing when you're preparing for hopefully an Olympic Games is you want to be heading in the right direction, and that's the season's best of 48.29 and a victory. Not much else you can do.
No, you take a victory when you can take a victory. Sometimes it's about time and you want to go and post that time. Other times it's just about the competition, and sometimes the conditions, whether good or bad, will affect the times, and you just have to compete against who is out there.
And as we can see, that was a great race. He came into that bottom bend, and what you want to do is treat it like a slingshot. It's a bit hard at the back end of a 400 when you're tired, but he's pumping those arms and he's really relying on his arms and his turnover to get him towards that finish line. He starts to grimace. And Baillieu came back at him hard, and he still managed to hold his form and dip at that line and take the win. Let's go down to Lynchy.
Thank you, Tamsin. I've got Alberto Campbell. He's hunting that Rio qualifier. We're still trying to find out what that official time is, but for the Rio Paralympics. But Bertie, run us through the race.
Yeah, I felt good.
Push through, like you've got something through the year now.
I was thinking big arms, claw back, and just go for it with 100 to go. So, yeah, so I'm hoping I got it tonight.
Well, I'll keep you tuned. He sounds a bit out of breath. Let him catch his breath. Back up to you guys, Tamsin and Steve.
Well, it's pretty harsh, Lynchy, when you shove a microphone in his face after just finishing a 400 metres. I think he did a brilliant job chatting, because that was pretty much straight after the race.
It's exactly what you want to see, though, after a 400, knowing that he's given it his all, which he obviously has, and awaiting the time on that. As we see Tiana List with her traditional sort of flat and low, nice and direct style. Unfortunately, that hand And that red flag means that the tip didn't hit first, so they won't be measuring that one. But she's had a really good season. Her coach Ben looking after her as well as a couple of the boys. One off to the World Juniors, another got very close at the Nationals, so he's got a great squad of javelin throwers moving through.
Haven't seen too much of the men's javelin takeoff just yet. Hamish Peacock's our big star. We, of course, remember at this track, Jordan Bannister hurling it out over
89 metres.
It was an amazing throw. That was at the Nationals when it was here at Queensland a few years back now, but I tell you what, it's a memorable moment in track and field, Australian track and field. But Hamish Peacock, we're waiting for him to hopefully get that Olympic standard.
And fingers crossed for Josh Robinson as well. As we look at the results for the men's 400 metre beach sprint, Kevin Moore 48.25, Hamish Bailey 48.53, Robert Jopp 49.11, Alberto Cambo 50.91, and Luke Grimley there in 5th place.
Okay, back at the javelin.
As we go back to the javelin, Yuka Sato in 2nd place. Her compatriot leading the way.
Hamish had a rare defeat in Sydney Track Classic tonight. Pretty tough. He's been chasing that qualifying. He's just been off. You got to expect him to have a bit of a downer at one of the meets. Josh Robinson won the javelin down there in 78.89 metres. Hamish through 75.32. Just an off night.
Could have been.
It's a hard thing. You never know. He might have had a big week of training. Just been using tonight as preparation for 2 weeks' time. I'm sure the Japanese visitors know that Australia is really strong in the female javelin, so they would have come out here hoping that they were going to be competing against the Triple Ks, but obviously a few things have occurred and meant that the girls have to look after their bodies and make sure that they're right when the time counts.
Oh, they're against the Triple Qs tonight, the Queensland girls.
Tell you what, I'm excited about the events that are coming up after this.
Now leader for her final throw. A nice throw there, but not her best tonight. 59.59, I believe, is her best throw to take out the win in the javelin.
There's plenty more athletics action after the break, including the women's 800 metres. Coming up, you're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths Queensland Track Classic.
The IAAF Nestle Healthy Active Kids Athletics program is fun, fast and awesome. It's an action-packed program filled with activities for all abilities from 5 to 12 years old. It's fun, fast and awesome. You can enjoy this program too now through the Sporting Schools program in primary schools across Australia. Come on, join us and sign up for athletics. For more information, check out athletics.com.au.
Okay, Steve, I'm pretty excited. The women's 800 is now on track. It's an exciting event. We saw Selma Cajun win the Perth Track Classic last week in a very quick time of 2:02.28. Lane 1, Tia Brady. 2, Joanna Cubis. 3, Isabella Scott. 4, Selma Cajun. 5, Brittany McGowan. 6, Catherine Katsanavakis. 7, Amy Brown. 8, Lillian Price. And 9, we've got Cara Jardine, who's doing the pace. Pace was originally set at 60, but it's been moved down to 59, which is exciting to see, because if these girls want to have a crack at the 2:01.5 Olympic qualifying time, 59 is where the pace needs to be through the first lap.
Tell us all about it, Tamsin. You know this event better than any of us.
Well, I think on paper for this season, Selma's the one to watch. I'm really looking forward to seeing Brittany race again. She struggled a bit early this season, but that happens with 800s. She's changed coaches. She's with James Kahn, who's obviously a good middle distance runner himself, and it's one of those events on track that I think the female 800 runner and the male 800 runner are so different. So they'll be trying to gel together, and I'm sure they're learning as they're going, but she's, you know, we know she can run 2:01. She's on her home track, and she'll just be looking forward to a confident booster tonight. Hopefully a season's best leading into those trials. Catherine Katsanavakis trains with Justin Lewis out of Victoria. She's been training really well on the training track, so she's also one like Brittany that's probably just a little bit down on confidence for the times that she's been getting. But having seen her train, I know what she's capable of, and if she can get a season's best out here again, she'll be on the up heading into trials. Cara on the outside, she went to the juniors and she came second in the 400 and 800 last week. She can run 55 point, and she dropped her personal best 800 down 4 seconds to 2:07, so she could possibly be in the race herself. And they're off. What you want to see in the first 100 before the crossover is girls just starting to find their rhythm, and hopefully if you're on the inside lanes you want to push up so that you don't get boxed in. If you're in the middle you just want to watch everybody and hopefully settle into behind the pace.
Cara Jardine has taken that pace out. She's making sure that she's up in front, not to cause any congestion. She's
a really young girl, so it'll be a big occasion for her here pacing the Queensland Track Classic. She's obviously gone out a little bit fast. Her 400 PB shows that she's got speed, so it's possibly a little bit quick for the girls, but you know, the field's good enough to race each other. Let's go down to Lynchy and see what he's seeing trackside.
Yeah, Jardine taking it out, but if the girls want to run fast, they need to get on the back of that pace. The pace was set for 60, then it went down to 59. It looks like Lily Price there just tucked in and leading them through. She is the Queensland state champ, but Cara Jardine, this is her first pacing job, and she's done well. The girls just not wanting to go with her. As they go past, Selma Cajun now in the lead. Back up to you guys.
Yeah, Lynch, it's disappointing that they were off that pace, but, you know, it's hard to tell what the conditions are like and what the wet track has done out there. The girls are possibly foxing with each other. Like, Selma will want to make sure that she has the win on the board heading into the trials, but Brittany McGowan is looking much better as she's coming down that back straight. This is the place where she tends to have that massive kick and fly past, and that is what she is doing. She is flying past Selma Cajun. It looks like her and her coach James Kahn have gone back to the training track, and she looks like she is back in form.
Working hard with 150 to go. Cajun just on the bend, but bring us home, Lynchy.
Well, McGowan, that classic kick for Cajun now. She's whipping on the outside. Maybe McGowan went too hard. Come in the home straight. McGowan on the inside. Cajun has just whipped around her, and she is going to take this out. The rest are fighting hard from behind, but Cajun, she was too strong in Perth, and it looks like she's going to be way too strong again. Clock just ticking over 2 minutes, and she's going to take it out. Selma Cajun, 2:05.34. Takes the win. That's 2 from 2 for Selma.
Wow, that was exciting, and I think Brittany should take a lot out of that race. She was back up there, she was racing, she just got tired in the back end, which shows that maybe she hasn't had enough racing in the legs, which, you know, that'll come. She'll have rounds at the trials, but Selma Cajun, she's the one to beat going into those nomination trials. She looks good, she's got another win on the board, and obviously she'll be disappointed with that time, but as I said, it's about the win at these tour meets, and they were off the pace early, so they probably weren't going to get a fast time. But Brittany used a lot of energy down that back straight, but you know what? Good on her for having a go. She's lacked confidence, obviously, after having some disappointing results, and that takes a lot of guts to go out there and really attack it when you know that perhaps you're not in PB shape.
And Tajan there looked super relaxed. She wasn't too phased by Brittany going past. As you see her coming around into the straight here, nice and relaxed. She looked like she had a little bit more in the tank.
I think Brittany uses that tactic quite a lot, so Tajan probably wasn't surprised that Brittany tried to go then, and she held her form and she relaxed, and she's driven to the line. I mean, this race at Nationals is going to be very exciting. So
we all have to deal with the same conditions. So
obviously you can see Brittany's really hurting in that back end, but she'll be better for that race. Really, she'll improve after that. The rest of the girls finished, you know, back down. I think some of the 800 girls will be a bit disappointed with that time.
And can the viewers at home look forward to seeing you in that race at Nationals, Tamsin?
I've entered, but we'll wait and see. When you've got a 19-month-old at home, you like to think you can do things, but some days you just can't do what you want to do. So we'll see.
Sure,
I've
there's a few volunteers at home that'll happily babysit if they need.
I got to tell you though, Steve, it's much more cushy up here watching the girls in pain than being out there. So I get used to this.
And not to let it go past the viewers at home, a 2:02 hand by yourself the other day in Milers Club conditions. So it's a little different to the girls out there tonight that have to do perhaps a little bit more work themselves.
Yeah.
But
and it's hand time. Obviously, hand times don't count. So yeah, Lynchy's down at trackside with our winner, Selma Kajan.
We got Selma down 2 from 2, Perth, then Brisbane. What was the difference between this race and last week?
I think, this race was just a little bit of more solo running, which I didn't mind so much. I think it's important to try and, give a bit of a solo effort as best as you can. And I was hoping I'd get quicker again, but it was just not in my legs tonight.
And just prep up now for 2 weeks, Olympic trials, Nationals?
Definitely. So hopefully another 2 solid weeks of training or so, and hopefully things will come together for Nationals and we'll have a really good race.
So 2015, that's on the mind. Are you going to head anywhere else after Nationals?
Yeah, pretty much the day after Nationals I leave to a big stint overseas to I go to Mount Laguna, just out of San Diego, for about a month of altitude training, then hopefully head over to Europe for some races. So I've got a backup plan if Nationals doesn't quite go well, but hopefully no matter what, hopefully I can get the win there. Yeah.
Thank you, Selma. Back up to you, Tamsin.
That was a great run by Selma. She's doing all she can. She's taking the wins, and you can only win against who you're racing against. So we've got a tweet from Richard Welsh doing a bit of Summer of Aths live stream from sunny, how do you say that? Ulverstone. Is that right, Steve?
Welshie. I think so. Welshie. A Tasmanian friend there.
Well, the 800. Oh, here's another one. Tom Nixon.
The Summer of Aths continues in Brisbane tonight. The final at ASOS Tour meet before Nationals. So Tom Nixon, known to us as the big voice, the commentator of many of our big races over the Summer of Aths season. He's doing a great job here in Brisbane as well. Thank you, Tom. As we see the boys, 200 metres. Could be one of the biggest events, if not the biggest of the night. There's been a lot of banter. We talked about it in the 100, but this is the event.
Well, I think after Alex Hartman's 100-metre personal best, he's ready to go. But as we see the 800-metre women's times come up, Selma Kajan took the win in 2:05.3. Brittany McGowan, second in 2:06.75. Isabel Scott, 2:07.78. Lillian Price, 2:09.14. Catherine Katsanavakis, 2:09.30. Joanna Cubis, 2:09.31, Tia Brady 2:10.11, and Amy Brown rounding up the field in 2:16.58. There's plenty more athletics action after the break, including that men's 200. You're watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths Queensland Track Classic. Welcome back to the Queensland Track Classic. We are getting ready for the men's 200 metres, which after the men's 100 metres and the PB to win it, personal best to win it from Alex Hartman, this is really exciting. He really could do something special tonight.
And here's the start list. In lane 1, James Mortimer from New Zealand. Lane 2, Will Johns. Lane 3, Joseph Miller, New Zealand. Tom Gamble is in lane 4. Alex Hartman, the Queenslander, in lane 5. Banvu Tambakathoro backing up from Fiji in lane 6. Oh, forgive me, Shota Hara, I think it is, from Japan.
I think he did that well.
Stubbs in lane 8 and Benjamin Jaworski in lane 9. So a few of these boys backing up from the 100. They'd be pretty confident going into a 2 after the conditions in the 100. I guess the only difference is now they're running in the opposite direction as they were before. Whether that will make a difference to the times or not, we'll wait and see.
Be interesting to see if Tom Campbell can fix his start up, because he looked like he missed the start in that 100 metres. He was a bit down, but I think he's edging closer to that Olympic qualifier for the 200 metres, and this is his preferred event. So he'll be one to watch tonight. Brilliant to see so many across this start list with season's best and personal best, especially in an Olympic year.
Well, one being our lane 1 guest from New Zealand, James Mortimer. He's the oldest man in the field, very experienced, formerly a hurdler, who was actually a semi-finalist at the University Games way back in 2007. But he's run a PB of 21.02 this season.
What is it with men's high hurdlers? They tend to make great 200-metre runners. The international guys who are the world's best at 110 hurdles, they tend to run phenomenal 200-metre races.
Our own Nick Hoff, very, very competent 200-metre runner and the best hurdler that we've got currently. As we watch Joseph Miller throwing all his stuff in the basket. Thank you very much to the basket kids.
And isn't he a good starter?
He started very well in the 100, and we'll look to have him start super quick in this 200 as well on the inside of Tom Gamble. And we've got in the blue there Will Johns, the Victorian champion in lane 2. He's gone sub-21 this year and be keen to go sub-21 again. Not sure the conditions tonight are perfect for super quick times, but we'll wait and see. But Alex Hartman, he's the one to watch. He's our fastest Australian at the moment, 20:45. He won Melbourne, he won the Queensland Champs, he won Canberra, he won the 100 earlier tonight.
He likes to win.
He does like to win. And he has thrown the gauntlet down to Tom Gamble. A quick tweet here. Some of us, our basket carriers, are big fans of Eleanor Paddo. Jumped 187 tonight. She did at Queensland Track Classic. Summer of us.
How can you not be a big fan of Eleanor? She's an absolute superstar and a great girl to boot. So we look at the crowd. They were getting behind the jumpers before when they were trying to rev them up to clap and fire them up to get over the bar.
This 200, it's going to be tight. There's a lot of guys with high 20-point, low 21 PBs. Ryan Bedford, Aaron Stubbs, 21.01 and 21.05. Their season's best and PBs, respectively. So it's whether Gamble can beat Hartman, and then very close, I think, for the minor placings.
I think Aaron Stubbs doesn't look like he's out there. You have that happen sometimes after the men's 100. They some things happen. They don't warm down as well, and they don't feel like they're ready to risk their bodies. So obviously, I can't see him from here, but we'll pick it up when we start calling the race.
There we go, lane 9, you're right there, Tams, and Aaron Stubbs has decided for whatever reason that the 100 was enough tonight.
And in lane 9 from New South Wales, Ben Jaworski.
Looks like Tom Gamble might also not be there.
Yeah, I'm trying to... Sorry about this, trying to work it out.
So
it looks like we're missing 2 athletes. So hopefully if we go down to Matt Lynch, he'll be able to pick up the race for us and let us know who's missing. But it looks like Tom Campbell is.
There's a clean start. We are missing Gamble and Stubbs, but we've got Benuve and Harmon, and they're the two to watch. They went head-to-head at the Australian champs, and Harmon having an absolutely killer bend. He's going to lead into the straight with Joseph Miller as well, but Harmon, can he work off his 100-metre PB he did earlier? Now he's strong finish. And here comes Alex Harmon. He'll take it out. Miller finishing second, but 21.03. It is a bit of a headwind down here. We'll have to wait to see what that official wind is, but 21.03 for Alex Hartman.
Thanks, Lynchy. Wow, no, Hartman used his newfound 100-metre speed. He was, you know, Miller, we're used to seeing him really take it to the boys in the first part of a 200-metre race with his great start. But Hartman, for a big man, he gets around that bend really well.
And it's really exciting to see him back up from the 100 as we watch the replay. He's got another good start. He did, as he said, perhaps not the best start in the 100, but he's rectified it there. Really slingshot off the bend, as you were saying before. And again, that last part of his race, super strong. So he's clearly very fit at the moment.
It's tough for a big man to get around those bends sometimes. He gets very close to that lane. He probably has to work a bit harder to make sure that he doesn't step on the line, because you see with Usain Bolt, when he runs the 200, if he's at a Diamond League, he always prefers to have the outside lane because it's much easier to stay in his lane at the speed that he travels at. You can tell Alex Hartman is running very fast by the fact that he has to work hard to stay in his lane.
Oh, there we go from Tom Robinson. Big fan of athletics he is. All I want to know is, Tamsin Lewis, are you running at Nationals? Are you running at Rio 2016? And of course, you're obviously part of #Summer of Aths.
Tom, I'll speak to you down at Doncaster Athletics track this week, and I'll let you know how I'm feeling.
Good question, Tom Robbo. Over to you, Tamsin.
Well, we'll see. The girls are looking pretty good, so maybe I'll stay up here where it's comfortable.
I think we all know that you prefer to be down there, but you're doing a great job in commentary, Tamsin. Keep up the good work. Miller there, he was in second there in the 200. So he'll be pretty happy with his journey over to Queensland today. Good run in the 100, backed it up pretty well in the 200.
It always makes me laugh, you know, middle distance, this is what happens on athletics teams. You know, you've got the throwers, you have the jumpers, you have the middle distance runners, then you have the proper distance runners.
And you have the multi-eventers.
Well, you guys just fall in all of our categories.
Of course.
So you guys can move to whichever situation is suiting you best. It always makes us laugh as middle distance and distance runners when you see sprinters finish at 200 metres and they're flat out on the track like Miller is now. But it's hard. It is really tough. If you run a 200 metres flat out, I challenge anyone at home, even marathon runners and people who think they're really fit, if you run a 200 metres flat out, you should be puffing pretty heavy.
Cheers, buddy. And let's go down to Lynchy with our winner.
Thanks, Steve. Alex Hartman. We're making a tradition of this. We've done twice tonight. Yeah, very strong wind on that bend.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. What do? Just go with the conditions. It's tough, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone's got to do it. Came up 21.03, but 20.87. Does that feel a little bit better?
Oh, God, yes. When I saw 21, I was like, yeah, a bit rough. It felt pretty quick, but yeah, 20.8 is much better.
And I think it was a negative 1.3 or something. So you're in good shape. What could we see at Nationals with nice conditions?
It's a surprise. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm expecting something quick. So.
All right, we're looking forward to that surprise. We'll unwrap it at Nationals, but back up to you guys on the box.
Thanks, Lynchy. I love it when the sprinters talk speed and fast times.
As we go to the 200-metre B race. In lane 1, Michael Goldie. Lane 2, Benjamin Hayward. Lane 3, Andrew McCabe. Lane 4, Jake Hammond. And lane 5, Nathan Riali.
Well, Andrew McCabe. It'll be interesting to see how he runs. He's a star of the past with a 20.69 personal best. He's always been really exciting to watch over 200 metres when he was in shape. Trains out of Townsville under Paul DeBella, another ex-Australian athletics sprinter. And he's only run 21.59 thus far this season. He'll be looking for a big season's best, I'm sure.
2069 Queensland, Andrew McCabe.
There's another few athletes pulled out of this race. We had 300-metre races on earlier. We had the A and B and C races, so some of the athletes really do wrap themselves in cotton wool leading into the trials because that's where it counts.
Starters means B race.
Mossy and Robbo who will be crowned hashtag Queen of the Quarter in Queensland tonight.
Ooh.
Hashtag Ruby v Mitchell. Find out soon.
Let us know if you know, boys, because it's going to be a very exciting race as the 200-metre B race boys get in their blocks. Okay, Jaworski with a good start. McCabe looks pretty good. Christopher Dale is running nicely. He looks like he's going to be close to the lead as they enter the straight. McCabe's coming through off that bend like a slingshot. He may not be in his 20.69 shape, but he knows how to win races. He stretches through to the finish line. Powers to the victory.
Solid win there. 21.57 from the big Queenslander. And he's still going.
I mean, that's the season's best by 0.02, so he's got to be happy with that. And if you look at the men's A race, we just listened to Alex Hartman saying that wind around that bend was pretty tough. So, you know, he's heading in the right direction.
And that official time's been rounded down to 21.54 by Andrew McCabe. And it was a good start there by Jake Hammond on his outside. Got started well and was pretty even with 100 to go. Just not quite the legs that Andrew McCabe has.
Sorry about that, Jake. I was looking at the start list and I saw Christopher Dale. Lynchy, let's go down to Lynchy. He's there with Andrew McCabe.
Andrew McCabe, winner of the B race, 200 metres. Mate, what's the conditions like? It looked pretty tough out there.
No, it's actually pretty good. Leading in nationals, we want some tough competition like this. We don't want tailwinds. Sydney apparently is a little bit slower of a track, so it's pretty good leading into it.
Yeah, so you're feeling good coming into nationals?
Yeah, I've been working with Alex Hartman over the last few weeks. I think it's helped both of us, to be honest. Should be a pretty good showdown at nationals.
Excellent. I want a good showdown. 1 and 2 at nationals?
Probably still 2 at this stage. We'll see.
And what's next for you after nationals? Are you going to chase some more races?
Yeah, definitely. I'll go up till the cut-off date. Yeah. It's Olympic year, you got to get everything.
Perfect. Showdown at nationals. Back up to you, Tams and Steve.
Thanks, Lynchy. We're off to a quick break, but don't go anywhere. The women's 400-metre showdown is up next. You're watching the Queensland Track Classic.
The IAAF Nestle Healthy Active Kids Athletics program is fun, fast and awesome. It's an action-packed program filled with activities for all abilities from 5 to 12 years old. It's fun, fast and awesome. You can enjoy this program too now through the Sporting Schools program in primary schools across Australia. Come on, join us and sign up for athletics. For more information, check out athletics.com.au.
Welcome back. We're here at the Queensland State and Athletics Centre. The women's 400, Steve.
It's a big one. Been looking forward to this one all night.
Who's your pick?
Can you go past Morgan? I mean, she's the in-form runner. She won in Melbourne. She's the Vic champion. She's run a 51.81. She's got a couple of Olympic qualifiers already. So she's definitely the one to beat.
She does, and she's been peaked for a long time. She looks very fit. She looks very relaxed. She looks happy. She knows she's got that Olympic qualifier. But she's still got to head towards Nationals. And I know that she looked really upset on this track last year for the Nationals, where she lost her title that she'd won the year before to Annalise Ruby. She will really want to take that national title back off Ruby at the trials. But Ruby's coming into good form at the right time. She obviously started the season a bit slowly in terms of 400 because she was racing 800 metres, but her race in Melbourne showed that her speed had dropped back down to the 52.8, and she was only bit over half a second behind Morgan. So I think it's going to be a really exciting race to watch. But this one will tell us what to look forward to, I think, in Nationals.
Yeah, definitely. And as we see the introductions, great initiative having everyone out in front, running down as they get announced.
It is. It's something different, and it's like what cricket did with 2020 cricket. They're trying different things, and that's exciting to watch. Now we've got the birthday girl.
Yep, happy birthday today, Jess.
On the screen.
Jess Gully Nance.
What is with the 400 girls all getting married and changing their names? We'll see Caitlin Sargent soon, and she is now Caitlin Jones.
Yep. So Jess got married not long ago. Caitlin Sargent, now Jones, also got married.
Jared.
Not putting any pressure on the next girl to get introduced, but she's been with her lovely boyfriend and partner, who's not far from where we are at the moment, Tamsin, for
and a great 800-metre runner at that, Lachlan Renshaw.
Yep, so if we look at those fingers, there are a couple of rings, but not on the right one just yet. Lachlan, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, but all in due time. So we're not here to talk weddings, we're here to talk speed. As we see her form as she runs down to the start line, and the final girl to be introduced. Probably the favourite at the moment. Her hairdo definitely looking the part. Morgan Mitchell.
She's got those double braids that you think are the hairdo of the evening.
Or if she got the quad braids, I'm not even sure what's going on there. Very impressive.
I'm stoked with our women 400-metre runners. Obviously, it's an event that we have great history in. Which Morgan, here's the lane draws. Take us through, Steve.
Lane 1, Donna Corneal. Lane 2, Kaho Nisho. Lane 3, Caitlin Jones. Lane 4, Annalise Ruby. Lane 5, Morgan Mitchell. Lane 6, Jess Gully Nance. Lane 7, Brooke Cull. And Lane 8, Courtney Schultz.
So we have great history in this women's 400, but for a few years there, the depth was lacking. But Morgan and Annalise have really stepped up to the plate. You can see that they've worked hard. They look incredibly fit. And the fact that the two of them are really pushing that sub-52 barrier now, it's exciting because hopefully that's when we'll start to see some really fast times occur later in the year, and they can push down to that 51 low area, which is what it's going to take if they want to do really well at the Olympics.
And so for some of these girls, this might be their last race before the National Championships. We've qualified for the Olympics in the 4x4. Yep. Congratulations, girls. They did that at the World Champs not long ago. So there'll be 4 spots up and probably a couple of reserves. So definitely these girls, come Nationals, will be looking for places. Yeah. They won't care what time they run once they get to Nationals.
How good is it watching an event where you know that everyone in that field is fighting tooth and nail because they know that an Olympic berth is on the line? You've got Jess Gooley and Caitlin Jones, who have been part of that relay team in the past. But then you've got athletes like Jess Thornton, the youngster who is an absolute superstar in the making, that came out of the juniors last week, and she ran 53.0 to win the under-20 Nationals. So if you throw her into the mix, and then Lindsay Pekin ran the 400 hurdles in Sydney Track Classic this evening, throw her into the mix.
Lauren Wells is also in that mix, our star 400 hurdler.
Yeah, and there's still some other great juniors that we saw in Perth too. Like, this event at Nationals is going to be one of the ones to really watch. Not only to see the battle between Annalise Ruby and Morgan Mitchell, but to see if Caitlin Sargent can get back to her times of old, and Jess Gooley can get back to the time where she won Melbourne Track Classic last year. Oh, very exciting, very exciting. But I think Annalise Ruby loves this track. This is where she won her first Open national title. Morgan's the one to beat. They've just had a problem with the girl in lane 9. She, her block, Courtney Schultz, wasn't in properly, so she had to just put her hand up to get settled, and they go back down. As we see Morgan come out of those blocks.
Ruby out well. Jones with her traditional quick start. Looks like Ruby's probably leading them out at the moment down the back straight. Morgan Mitchell starting to make a move. She usually waits till late, but she's going quite strong down the back straight. Caitlin Jones still there. Ruby in the middle. As they come to the 200, starting to round up Willie on their outside. Willie Nance.
This is where Morgan tends to be making her move in the 400
to go. Lynchy, 150 left, bring them home.
Morgan Mitchell really turning on the speed now. She usually comes home late, but she's coming home early at the moment. She's going to lead the field into the straight. Sarge is there. She's been in pretty good shape. She's trying to find something new. Ruby fighting back. Sarge now starting to turn it on. But here comes Morgan Mitchell. She's just way too strong this season, and this could be very, very quick here. 50-40. I think Ruby might have got up for a second. Very fast finishing Sarge, but sorry, Caitlin Jones. But there's Morgan Mitchell, winner. Unofficial time, 52-40.
Great race by Morgan. Well, she shows she's the one to beat coming into those trials. It was awesome to see Caitlin Jones has improved from her last run. She's picked up. She really took it to Annalise Ruby. And I forgot, there's still Monica Brennan who ran the 200 metres back in Sydney. She's also to come into this mix. But Morgan's really starting to really grasp how to run the 400 the way that suits her. She's just reeling 52-second races out after each other. She really works that back straight, back half of the back straight into that top 200-metre start bend really, really well. She came into the front straight, it was quite close, and she just relaxes and comes home. She relies on her stride length and looks fantastic. Look at her go. Look how relaxed and smooth she is. Annalise Ruby looks nice and relaxed as well. She's got the qualifier, so if she can just go to the National Championships and finish in those top 2 positions, you would think that she would be selected.
Yeah, it's great to see Morgan Mitchell's race tactics really come to the fore. She was dominating down the back straight when often she saves it to the last 100 metres, and her fitness gets her across the line. 800-metre background as a junior, but she's really shown that she knows how to race these girls, and putting a win on the board now will give her confidence leading into the Nationals in a couple of weeks' time, where if she wins, that'll be an automatic selection for Rio, having got the qualifier.
Yeah, you can see in that final footage of the 400, Morgan and Annalise are holding their form really well. Caitlin got a little bit ragged, which you know what she's known to. She's a really fast 100-metre, 200-metre runner, and she steps up to the 400 and she brings great speed to the event. Sometimes at that back end when you're a shorter sprinter, the last bit can hurt. So I still think that was a really positive step forward for Caitlin, but it was great to see Morgan's race. All right, let's head to a break, and after the break, we're going to listen to our winner, Morgan Mitchell. Welcome back. We have Lynchy down trackside with the winner of that women's 400, Morgan Mitchell.
Thank you, Tamsin. She's just had to finish a drink of water. So, Morgan, apart from getting that a Rio qualifier for Rio de Janeiro, staying undefeated this season, is that a goal that you had coming in?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, you could call it a goal, but it wasn't the main focus. I just thought the more I win, the more confidence I get. But I mean, you learn from every win, every loss. It doesn't really matter at the moment. It's overseas what really counts. But yeah, I mean, it's good to be undefeated. You just never know what could happen. So got to keep living it day by day, and I'll be sweet.
Did you have a time goal coming into this season? So you've run 51.8. Was that it, or you want to hit something a bit quicker? Well, obviously you do, but did you have one in your mind?
Not really. I just thought get the qualifier and then see what we can do from there. Now that I've gone under 52, you just don't know what you can do. It is obviously a goal to get quicker, but I haven't put a time on it yet. Still very early in the season, I reckon. So.
Well, you say early in the season, we've got nationals in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you going to go for a solid block and maybe go to Europe or some races in Japan?
Hopefully. I don't know. My coach keeps changing his mind. I don't really know what the go is yet. We just kind of take it day by day. Wouldn't mind Japan. I love that place. Never been to Europe before for running. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to nationals, how I go, and then we'll sit down and focus on the next block. Yeah.
Too easy. Morgan Mitchell, she won the 400. Back up to Tamsin. Steve.
Thanks, Lynchy. And she won it quite comfortably. She looks very, very good heading into the European summer. First, Morgan Mitchell, 52.38. Annalise Ruby, 53.27. Caitlin, season's best, 53.47. Fourth, Jess Gooley-Nance, 54.48. Brooke Cull was fifth, 56.30. Donna, 57.08. Courtney, 58.22. And Kaho Nishio, how was that? 59.35.
Pretty good.
Good job. And don't forget, on April 3rd, after the last day of the nomination trials in the National Championships on April 3rd, we have the gala dinner, which if you want to buy tickets, go to athletics.com.au. It's where the male and female athlete of the year and para athlete of the year are going to be announced. And we also have the first athletes named by Kitty Chiller, the chef de mission, for the Rio Olympics. Okay, highlights for the night for Queensland Track Classic. I'd have to say I really enjoyed that women's 400. It was talked up, and for a battle between Morgan Mitchell and Annalise Ruby, and Caitlin took it to them as well. I enjoyed it. Morgan's running very, very well. Lynchy, what was your highlight for the night?
Mate, I've got to say my highlight, the men's 100 metres. We ran it backwards just to help the sprinters, give them a bit of a tailwind. Alex Hartman, 10.29. He talked the talk all week, and he walked the walk, and he backed up again with the 200-metre win. Bit of a headwind for that race, but I think he's going to go into nationals very, very confident. And after the Queensland Track Classic, I think he's a real chance to maybe even do the double down in Sydney at nationals. Back up to you guys.
Tell me, Steve, what was your highlight of the evening, or have we stolen them?
No, I think it was from the track too. I think Luke Stevens is, the man of the moment with the 400s. He did it quite easy tonight, and only thing potentially better than that was maybe Morgan Mitchell's post-race interview. She's as raw as they come, she's as honest as they come, and love hearing what she's doing with herself.
She's a superstar in the making, that one. Well, that's a wrap from the Queensland Track Classic. We trust you've enjoyed the coverage. Tune in again for the big one, the 2016 Australian Athletics Championships and nomination trials for the 2016 Rio Olympic and Paralympic Games. 3 days live from the 1st of April, showcasing all of Australia's greatest talent and Olympic game hopefuls. A big thank you to my co-commentator Steve Kane and Matt Lynch for all of their trackside insights. I'm Tamsin Lewis-Manu. You've been watching the 2016 Australian Athletics Tour Summer of Aths. Bye for now.